Hold on!
Welcome everyone to our latest episode of The Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. As always, I'm Alex, aka The Gozfather.
I'm Christian, aka Pseudo45.
I'm Preston, aka Funkadelic Jedi.
Yeah, you are. And as we like to do, we like to kick things off with Preston's comment corner.
Yeah.
So as I drink my adult chocolate milk, go ahead and walk us through it, Preston.
There's like nothing in there.
Because I've been drinking it for a while.
Oh yeah.
It's a whole bunch of coffee liqueur mixed with just cream liqueur. It looks
So it's just
like
cream
chocolate
liqueur.
milk, and it's just 40% alcohol. So.
Jesus. Okay. Hey. It's all right with me. All right. This episode is not sponsored by a liquor place, but it is sponsored by the Comic Headquarters. If you're looking for a trade paperback or hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call, 314-433-5449. Let them know that the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order. Recent get would be, for me, Takashi Okazaki. There's a Peach Momoko cover, but it's if you watched season 1 of Visions, Star Wars Visions, you would have noticed the Ronin episode that they had, which was done by Takashi. And then he does like a little prequel thing to show how the droid and the Ronin met. So it was good. It was a lot of fun. I love that dude's art. That dude fucking does God's good work. So it was great. It was good. Good fun to read. If you like it, check it out.
Nice.
Other than that, no comments. None of the like. To be fair, we have had less than a week since the last one, and the new episode just came out today. So,
Since you bring up Jake, I'll tell you this quick little story. We were playing Halo this morning.
No.
Yeah, and there were three of us in me, him, and another guy in a room, and we were doing well. We actually won 6 games in a row to end this day, so it was a really good play session. But I'm in this room, and I see this guy grapple with the sword, and he's about to come flying in this room. Guy with a sword. I'm shooting. I don't really have a great weapon, and there's somebody right by the door, and he swords me. So I pull up the score, right, so I can see what my KD and stuff is. And I see this guy trying to pick up a sniper rifle, and I'm like, oh my god! I was like, our teammate, just kill him. You had a sword. Why did you drop the sword? Just sword him. And Jake's like, are you fucking talking about me? I was like, I don't know who. He was like, that's me. He thought I was giving shit about our other teammate until I called out specifically, why are you dicking around with a sniper rifle? And he's like, that's me. And he's like, and I immediately turned to the side and snapped and killed the guy, right? But he's like, what the hell? I was like, hey man, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't know it was you, but still, I was just, it was funny. The guy wasn't on radar, so he didn't see him. It wasn't a huge deal, but it was pretty funny.
Jake, I'm telling you, Jake was about 2 minutes away from roasting your ass and being like, don't you ever in your life talk about my game ever again.
Yeah, he was for the most part.
Yeah.
But it was, we had good games. We had a few really, really good games in a row.
Good.
So,
Nice.
anyway, just a random story.
okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll kick things off with my week. So, I know, Preston, we were talking before you got on, we haven't really done that much since it was a short week.
Busy
and
too.
This weekend, we did, nothing but yard work from, noon to dark. like Saturday and Sunday. I know it's awful. My whole body hurts. I'm
Bet.
too old for this shit. Like we raked our entire yard. We cleaned off all of our cushions from like the winter. We then washed all the cushion covers, weatherproofed them. We put together some like Adirondack chairs and painted those in a fire pit. And it was just days of work. But it meant just
All
a
of
little
those-
bit. Yeah.
All of those are totally legit, except for the raking. What you should have done is do what everybody does, and you just take your mower and you just smoke every leaf right over the lawn.
So-
That's it.
Yes, I don't disagree. However, we live in an area where like pine needles are more prevalent than leaves, and inside of the pine needles are little effing pine cones that are like little spike grenades. So you're just walking about, or you're throwing the ball or something with the dog, and all of a sudden it's like a billion little sharp points in your foot. So I had to rake the whole yard to get the pine needle stuff up, the stuff the mower won't get. Awful. I'm not kidding. I think I have 19 like huge yard bags downstairs.
Jesus.
I'm gonna have to take multiple trips to like the yard waste place at the dump.
So we're clear. Since you've lived in Florida, so ever since then, and then your whole tenure in the South, I'll say,
Sure.
you're really making the case for that whole section of the country to be sawed off and just
Drift out
sailed
into the
away.
ocean. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough because we love Atlanta much better than Florida.
Well,
But right.
yes.
Yeah.
But-
low bar.
With that being said, like the next month it's gonna be humid as f, or the next couple months, and then we have all these gorgeous trees. Like our yard has no trees because whoever had the house years before us decided to clear a whole yard out. So it's actually like great.
Yeah.
However, every other yard surrounding us has a billion trees. Like it's nothing. Like nobody has like grass backyards. They're just like natural forest backyards where we are. And mind you, like we live in a neighborhood. We don't like live in a rural area. Like it's just they call Atlanta City in the Forest. There's just a lot of effing trees.
There is
and-
trees. I've been there a couple of times, and there is fucking. There's trees all over downtown. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And like they're not trees that like really drop leaves. Like they heat their leaves, but they drop freaking pine needles and pine. It's just awful. It's awful. It's awful. Anyway, and whole nother topic I'm not going to get into because people have trees don't take care of them. 2 parts of our fence are leaning in from where their trees are growing into our fence. So now I'm gonna have this conversation of like, hey, trees got to go. Like I don't know what to tell you. It's breaking my fence. Like trees got to go. Anyway, Atlanta's great, but the South in general sucks. So
Checks out.
because of that huge diatribe to get to this, I haven't played a lot of games this weekend. I have played Halo, of course, with Jake. And I only did that today because he was gone the last few days, so we didn't play over the weekend or on Friday or anything. I have played Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, so I'm making a lot of progress, quote unquote, there. I'm unlocking a lot of mini games.
Hey,
I'm doing
that's
a lot
progress.
of side stuff, so I guess it's progressing.
It
But
definitely
I'm
is.
still in like chapter 4. And then I've only played 2 other games. The one we're going to talk about tonight, and then the one that I am going to let everybody know will be our next video game book club game. So I'm not
Yeah.
going to talk about that game because I'll let you know what it's going to be. And then I wanted to go ahead and knock the section out to see, like, will this be an okay book club game and so on for reasons we can
Sure.
talk about later. But yeah, so really all I'm going to talk about is Infinite Wealth. That's it in some Halo, and that's kind of my week. It's been a really, really easy week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did anybody go see Godzilla?
We did. Preston and I did.
Okay. Was that this
Yeah.
weekend? I want to hear about that.
Yeah, we saw it yesterday.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah, we
Okay,
saw it yesterday. Yeah, so I'll just go similar to you. I have played one game because most of my week was spent after recording anyway. Was spent not doing non-game related things. So the only game I played is Dragon's Dogma 2. It still is great. I changed my class. I've unlocked every class in that game but one. I'm a magic archer now, which is pretty cool. So it's like half mage, half archer,
Yeah.
which is pretty
Do
sweet.
you shoot magic and arrows, or do you shoot magic arrows?
You shoot magic arrows. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But sometimes they're real arrows that get magic on them, but you don't have to have arrows on your person to do it. which is weird. But it's not weird. But so
magic
like regular archers in the game, you don't have to have regular arrows on your person. You'll just always have regular arrows. But you do have to have special arrows on your person. So like if you were gonna do like an explosion arrow or like a poison arrow or whatever, right? Like you have to have those equipped on you. But with Magic Archer, it's just every arrow. You are shooting like magic bolts, like literally just like.
So those are like your
magic
infinite
energies,
ammo, right? The magic bolt.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then there's also sometimes like I have like an explosion, like an arrow that I'm able to like put a bunch of explosion stuff on. It sends it forward, but then I can control it. So like I get to like heat seek it basically like on my way there, which is kind of cool. But that's like a real arrow, like in the model. So I don't know. Who knows?
This
game's got so much
on the arrows that you got for free. It's fine.
Yeah.
The world is not enough. 007 game
Bond,
did the whole like RPG where you could drive it around the entire multiplayer map. Not enough games ever did that. I think something kind of died way back in the day.
Yeah,
but the multiplayer stuff,
weird.
that was fun.
Yeah, I was like when it shows like the tooltip for the skill or whatever, and it shows it's like, by the way, when you let go of the button, like you'll have a chance to control it, and you can just like fly it to its destination. I was like, this, especially in a single player game where like enemies might be hiding somewhere or like doing something, like this is really broken, and I'm sure I'll find ways to abuse this.
Yeah, could you like shoot it over a wall to see like where enemies are placed before you go in?
For miles. Like I had examples. This one doesn't even have anything to do with enemies, but I ran up on a house and one of my pawns was like, there's a chest in there, but we can't get it. The door's barred from the other side. I was like, huh. Well, I bet you I could fly this arrow through that window and hit it. That's what I did. I flew the arrow through the window and hit it, and it busted open the door. And I was like, "Sweet, I'll take that chest now, thank you." But it's just, yeah, I don't know. It the stuff they let you do. It's like so much. It's still so much shared from the first game. I think that like if I've seen a lot of people who have been not upset, but like shocked at the level of like middle fingers that this game is willing to give to the people that play it. Yeah. And it's just like, man, that's just it. If you think what it is now is bad, you should have played the first game and it was significantly more fuck you because it wasn't finished all the way. So it still remains like a game for like not for everybody, but if you liked the first one or the first one intrigued you at all, then this one still remains good or to be for you. Yeah, it's been great so far. After that, I went and saw I had an event thrust upon me, and it made Alex want to hate me for a little while, but then he got over it shortly after.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Alex, so he, as everybody on this podcast should be very aware, Alex has been a soccer fan since he was a wee boy in the coal mines of West Virginia.
Member season ticket holder class.
And I have been following, I can say fan now. I've been a fan of soccer for maybe not even a year yet. And
I think, yeah, I mean, you watched like the Wrexham show won you over, right? Which has been out
that's
over
when it starts wearing me out. But like, if I'm talking like following a season from start to finish, it really has only like I followed the back half of last season for the MLS. Yeah. And then I've been like really like I've watched every game for this season. So that's what I'm saying. It's still probably just under a year. And the Chicago Fire, the team that I follow, hit me up and wanted me to come to an event where they have the executives come down and chat it up with you and ask you like, you know, what is working, what's not, what feedback you have about like what's cool about going to soccer games, what's not cool about going to soccer games. You get a bunch of free shit, and then you go watch the game, and that's what happened. It was a very cool experience. I texted Alex about this because I had assumed, just by nature of the law of averages, that Alex has been to at least a couple of these things, or had the opportunity to be a couple of these things. He very quickly informed me to go fuck myself and that he had not been to one of these.
What did I say? I've been a soccer fan forever. The only thing I've ever been given is depression.
Yeah. Which was really good. But I did let him know after. I was like, because I didn't know how my team was going to fare against the Houston Dynamics as who they were playing. And I was not sure how they were going to fare because they've kind of traded so far, like every single time they've played.
Dynamo are good too.
Yeah, or Dynamo, thank you.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, they're a good team. And so I was like, I'm not happy about this. Now, I will say that as soon as I got outside and like felt the air, I felt like we had a pretty good chance of winning because it was colder than. I do not get super cold very easily because I've lived in these kinds of areas most of my life. And so like today it was like 40 something. I was out in shorts and a t-shirt today when I went to go get something from downstairs. I was freezing my ass off at this game. It was, and I had a sweater on, jean, like the whole thing, and it was fucking cold. And so I was like, all right, well, our players will be used to this. I was like, I'm gonna guess Houston will not be used to this. I was like, so hopefully this will help. And we won. I don't know if it helped at all, but we won. But at first, I was like, if we lose, I'm going to let Alex think that event was the coolest thing that ever happened to me. I just won't correct him ever. But we won, so I was like, okay, I'll be honest. And so I messaged him afterwards. I was like, all that stuff at the event was cool, but it really, at the end of it, was just, they were like, hey, so anyway, you've seen all this and all that's great, and you got to drink a bunch and eat a bunch, so you should buy some season tickets from us. You should buy them right now. Right now, please. You should buy them right now. I was like, oh,
that's what this is. Yeah.
Sorry, big dog, but I'm not doing that. Not that I'm not interested, because but it's like the rest of this year is kind of spoken for as far as like things that we have to go do, and I'm not. I was like, now next year,
an hour and 15 minutes is a drive every week. I mean, it's not that far, but like if you're doing it every week, it's
a lot. Yeah, and so
I do 45 minutes to the city. And by the time you're talking like drinks at the game and food beforehand, like it gets to be a bad.
Yeah, and so I was like, if it's now next year, like, and potentially like if we ever move closer or whatever, then like, you know, I could totally see myself. I told him straight up. I was like, you know, next year I might be seeing you because it's free parking, whatever, and parking is already a fucking nightmare at Soldier Field. So if I have a way to not pay for that anymore, then that's fucking fantastic.
That's also, though, for you guys to figure out where you're going to play, right? Nope. My video said now.
Yeah. Well,
it's a figure out where you're going to play because if the Bears move, they don't know what they're doing with the stadium. Are they going to stay there? Are they going to go build their own stadium?
So far, the Fire has said that they're committed to staying there if they can get some of their renovations made. But the way Chicago is, I have a heart. If Chicago was willing to play chicken with the Bears, I have to imagine that they're also willing to do that for the Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
Or any other MLS team for that matter. Because even though MLS is growing and it's been really fun to watch, the NFL is still, you know, they're huge. So like if they're willing to play chicken with them, I feel like they're willing to play chicken with probably anybody. And see, I mean, fuck, dude, like the Bulls haven't fixed the United Center in years, and they don't give a shit. Like,
we're at an advantage here in Atlanta, where Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, owns Atlanta United too. So they just play in the football stadium, but like you have an investment in making it the best experience for both, because like you just own them, so it's a lot nicer for us than most.
Yeah, so we'll see. Who knows? I don't know, but I just basically was like, look. Next year, you could probably potentially get me. I could be down to do some ticket packs this year, like so that I don't have to pay fucking Ticketmaster fees. I was like, so that I can like there's a handful of games that I'll know I want to go to that we'll be in town for. But yeah, that's a long way to say that I told Alex afterwards, I was like, it wasn't that big of a deal. And
you want to know what I was so irritated about? What I was so irritated about was like, when we moved, we knew we were moving before we even bought a house. Like, I signed up for season tickets for Atlanta United because like they have a wait list, and I didn't get on the first year we lived here, or the first year we moved. So I just bought a season, like a 6-game pack or something.
Yeah.
But then I got on the following year, and like I do surveys for everything when it comes to soccer. So they're like, hey, how was the experience and this and that? How was the in season and so on. And I'm always giving ideas of like things to do for fans. So one that I gave a long time ago was like, hey, I live in Marietta. A lot of people live in that area. We live right up the road from where the team practices. And like they practice outdoors, but your practices are closed. Why? Like, even if you want to keep them closed all the time, like, do a fan thing for the season ticket holders where you can go down there over the course of a week and, like, watch it, like a preseason if you wanted to.
I mean,
like
it's sort of like how MLB does, like, with spring training.
Yeah, and you don't have to do it always, but, like, for a week beforehand or what. And, like, it was, they don't, of course, they'll tell you anything in the survey. And then, just so happened, like, last year, it all of a sudden pops up where they're like, hey, come watch a practice, meet and greet with the team. There are 3 different days you can pick. And then it's like spots limited. And they went on sale at like 1. And I was in a training. I think my training ended and I got on there at like 1:25 and all of them were sold out. And they were sold out. They were free tickets. You just had to claim them.
And by the way, just for everybody listening, that is what Alex is describing is the Alex Slaughter experience. That is.
Dude. I called them. I called my season ticket holder rep. It was like, hey man, I don't know how many people recommended this that led you guys to do it. Maybe some of you.
But I'm pretty sure it was just me.
I do it. I was like, but I also recommended it. I was like, something I would love to do. Season ticket holder, blah blah blah. I was like, I got in 25 minutes. They're all gone over the course of 3. Like, come on, man. He's like,
middle of a work day probably too. Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
It's an outdoor field. You could let in as many people as you wanted. Legitimately, just like, sorry, dude.
I'm sure you were heated. Oh, I can see it now. Oh my god, the rage.
Yeah, so that's soccer. That's soccer.
Yeah,
I tell Allie like every spring and fall. It's like, well, time to let it could be 22 men or 11 men, depending if Liverpool and Atlanta are playing on the same day or not. But it's like, oh, I'm about to go let 11 men dictate how I feel for the rest of the day, so that's going to be great.
I imagine that when I was texting you about this, all Allie heard from your or wherever you were at in the house was just "fuck him." Like,
you know how serious I get when you were texting me last year when you were like kind of paying attention but not really, and we played Chicago from the game.
Oh yeah. It was a close game too. It was for a little bit, but yeah.
No, it was. Remember, we won in like the 96th minute.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
You were sending little side texts, and dude, I was fuming at the stadium. I was so pissed.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
But yeah, so then
good for you on that event.
Yeah,
what was the rest of the week?
It was a good time, and I got to see Chicago win, and my favorite player scored the last goal, so it was all good. Nice. So then after that, the next day, Press and I went to the Midwest Gaming Classic show here in Milwaukee. We had some good pickups. It was much bigger this year.
A lot bigger.
Almost doubled in size, probably, I would say. Like, huge. I don't know. They've been doing this show for a while, but I don't know how much more successful last year was compared to, like, fucking every other year, but it blew up. Like, when Preston and I got there, we were walking around, and I was like, Jesus, this is much crazier than I remember. We got some good finds, some good stuff. I got Lost Odyssey, the Japanese import copy, like a big thick one that was really cool. I got, this is for somebody else, but I got a copy of Dragon Quest III in box, which was sick. And then just a couple other games from my, like, rebuilding the collection that I traded away when I was a dumb child. And that was about it. I'm trying to think. You did that?
It's all a movie.
Yes, sorry. God, thank you. I was like, I know something else. Then we followed that up at the end of the day with going to see Godzilla Cross Kong, the New Empire, or A New Empire, whichever it was. And that was also a good movie. I think that it's the least favorite of my the Legendary Verse ones. I will say my biggest problem with it is that I think it tries to do too much in the... It's one of the very few movies that I would say I wish it was longer, and it had like...
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah.
It let like more moments sort of like breathe and like you know, sort of flesh it out. But like, it kind of like the way I would sort of describe it is like, it feels like the movie at the beginning, you take a really deep breath in and then you just like hold it the whole time. Like, that's how it feels. Like, it's just like go, 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 don't stop, go, 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 go. Like, it just keeps doing it. And there's a couple times that like...
Do they need to split them up again? Like, is it just getting too much with all these kaiju?
Because it's you got Kong, got Godzilla, got Kong story, Godzilla story, and you have a human side of the story until they converge towards the end. But yeah, it's a lot of stories to juggle.
Yeah, and the problem is that, like, you know, they've done like in the past, like in the Toho ones, like there's been multiple kaiju like in there, right? But like, it works because they let a lot of those moments have a lot of screen time, because by that point, when they started like dumping kaiju in there, Godzilla had been a thing for 20, 30, like it's been a long time, right? And so like, they didn't feel the need to like rehash a bunch of stuff, right? Whereas like this, and I'm assuming they probably did this because they were under the assumption that like new people are coming to see Godzilla probably through this, like this might be somebody's first, you know?
I wonder if that's based on Godzilla, the one that just
minus
came
one,
out, right?
Yeah,
minus
yeah.
one. Maybe they saw -1. They're like, oh, the popularity of that might lead to new. Even though I know they're filming at the same time.
Yeah, but like maybe they knew that like, hey, that might be a huge jumping off point. Like it, especially, you know, they might have internal data that's like, hey, this movie's gonna be fucking big. Like, people are really gonna like it, kind of thing. Who knows? But so they end up like rehashing a lot of this stuff that they like take way too long on, that you didn't need to do, because it's like, we fucking know already. Like, there's a huge chunk of the movie that's spent on people debating like energy signatures like on a thing and being like, what does it mean? And blah, blah, blah. It's like, motherfuckers, we know what it means. This is our 5th movie.
Yeah.
It means a kaiju, or it means a something. Like, something's happening, so you should go check it out. Why are we wasting time?
Fifth movie in a TV show.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we fucking know. We know what it is. Let's move on. And then like, you get to that, and like, then there's some times where like they get into like the Hollow Earth stuff, and like there's like a genuine like them being like, whoa, what? And it's like, you guys have been down here for years now.
Decades.
Like,
yeah.
It's not that shock. Like, this is a place where the gravity is literally cut in two, and then there is like a roof biome and a floor biome. Like, what do we... Nothing is surprising to you. It should not be surprising to you anymore. Like, you not that it's not surprising, but like, you shouldn't be like, where are we? Like, you're in the place where gravity is in 2 places. What do you mean? Like, but it's, you know,
that's because American audiences are dumb. We have to read.
Well, that's kind of what it feels like, right? Is it feels like, and I think it's something that like the Toho films will probably never suffer from, because they don't like spend any time explaining Godzilla, right? Like in -1, like there is not any long scenes like explaining Godzilla's origins or...
Oh, just big ass monster is here, man.
Yeah, like they basically are just like, it could have happened because of this. We don't really fucking know, but we don't really have time to worry about it. Like, we have to kill it. And it's like, good enough for me. Like, I get it. There's nothing else that you need to say, right? Or like, you know, so that being said, I still liked it. Like, I still had a fun time. I just think that it was the weakest of the ones that they've made. Like, if I had to rate them, I would probably, it was just off my top of my head, I'd probably put King of the Monsters at the top, 2014, and then Godzilla vs. Kong. But those are really close. Like, those are basically like interchangeable given the day. I really like those. and then this one, the New Empire. Cool. I like that they brought. That was sick.
A couple
that
of
turned
them
out really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually like the new kaiju, the Scar King that they brought out here. It's brand new to the entire like Godzilla dome. He does not have a place ever, so it's brand new. But I dig his lore and his backstory and stuff like that, so that was cool. But yeah, that was it.
I keep seeing a video out of context, and I'm just wondering if it's in the movie. And I don't think it's really spoilery because you see glimpses of this in the trailer. But like the little baby,
Yeah.
I don't want to say Baby Kong because it's more of like the baby.
They
Scar
call
King,
it.
right?
There's people running around call it Baby Kong.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
not
like
his baby, but
I keep seeing a video of Kong grabbing this
almost-
baby by
yeah, I
the
knew this is-
hand and just slapping him around into things.
there's reason
Yeah.
behind that. Yeah.
The content. If you don't want to, plug your ears for 15 seconds, but
Yeah.
he bites Kong, like he attacks him.
Okay.
And he's leading a bunch of other monkeys to beat the shit out of Kong, because they don't know who Kong is, and so they just assume that he's like
Territorial
an
shit,
invader.
yeah.
And so when he bites him and tries to jump on him and throw shit at him, Kong is like, "All right, motherfucker," and just like
It is. It's completely out of context, but it looks so funny just slapping
It's funny
around
even
a
seeing
little
them, to be
baby
fair.
monkey.
It's still very funny.
The only thing I'll say is that the movie really tries to appeal to Kong fans, because there's like a really quick, brief moment where he gets a run back with Godzilla really quick, and he has like the new mecha arm or whatever, and so he punches the shit out of Godzilla a couple times, and because he's trying to coax him to come down to Hollow Earth so that he can help, like they can team up, and so after he punches him a bunch, it shows him like dragging Godzilla by the tail, like trying to like get him to come into the portal with him. And Kong doesn't notice it, but all the purple energy starts glowing, and Godzilla's eyes and he like looks over at him and goes to fucking like cut him in half with the beam or whatever. But it was this moment where what I'm getting to is like he's taking it's like very clearly like there was people that I know that if they're Kong fans, they're like, yeah, he finally got a moment. The best part about it is it lasts like 2 minutes, because after he does that, Kong lets go and starts running from him, and he gets him, and then Godzilla like catches him on like they're in the desert.
He
in Cairo.
he
They're in Cairo.
suplexes him, doesn't he?
Huh?
He suplexes him, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he goes so Godzilla catches him coming around the side, and then knocks him back over, and then does the same move that he did that ended him in Godzilla vs. Kong, where he stomps the shit out of his chest a bunch and knocks him over. And the only reason, and then he's like getting ready to like blow his face off, and the only reason he doesn't is because Mothra shows up.
That's a spoiler. Yeah.
And there's, I won't go further than that, but it's so funny because you give Kong, like, there's these moment where Kong fans are like, yay! And then it's just like, that lived for 2 minutes before he got his ass whooped again. Like, they just wanted to like really remember. It's like, remember whose name is the first one on this movie, but we'll just, But it was funny. But either way, the movie was like I said, it was good. I still enjoyed it. But there was just some things that you were just like, what are we doing here? Like there's no reason to be doing this.
So, how do you feel going to the future? Like, did they leave it open in like a decent way, or do you think it's just gonna get?
They didn't leave it open in any, I mean, like it's not that they didn't leave it open. They don't set up a premise for whatever the next one could be. And to be fair, they didn't in King of the Monsters
Yeah,
either, or in Godzilla vs. Kong.
I think it's the same kind of ending. Yeah.
So, in general, I'm hopeful still. Like, I think it will still be good. I think the problem is that you had two Godzilla movies come out, right? Basically next to each other, minus one in this one. And the reception to both is vastly different. Like, the fan reception to A New Empire is still fairly good. Like, people like it, right? Like,
what you're getting when you buy that
won
ticket.
a couple of Oscars for
But
like
the other one
practical
was
effects
like
and other stuff.
The other one was not only did audience scores love it, but it also critically, like, people didn't go being like, oh man, that was a good Godzilla movie. People were like, this is a good film that has Godzilla in it. You know what I mean? So I think that going forward, they really need to examine what made what the difference is there, and then try to figure out. I mean, but you don't want to lose what this version of Godzilla is, right? Like, you can let Toho still have like the big scary like force of nature that doesn't give a fuck and just kills everything, versus like the anti-hero kind of thing that you have, because Godzilla's been both over the entirety of his thing, right? He teams up with Ultraman at some point. Like, it doesn't, Godzilla has done crazy shit all over his thing. That being said, I think that like what they really need to do is lean into like look at what made Monarch so cool and why people came away from Monarch really liking it. Is like Godzilla can still be the anti-hero and still like save the day while also be like a presence that people have to try to navigate, right? Like, it's not like
it becomes a natural disaster at a certain point.
Yeah, like it's like you
can
still have that level of human story where like like the main character in Monarch like has fucking flashbacks all the time of Godzilla smoking San Francisco, right? Like, because that's what happened.
Yeah, he's a natural disaster to anybody who's not involved in the fight, right?
Yeah.
Like, we always focus on the soldiers and everybody else involved, but like any civilian, he's just tearing through your city
and like, so you can so you can still like there's ways to still tell that story, and you've done it before, right? Like, in all the other previous Legendary movies, I think they've done a really good job of balancing that and like figuring that out, right? So I think that they'll do. It's just, I think right now they just need to like take a step back and sort of take the best parts of the things that they've already done and sort of stick to that and just write good, compelling things with that. But
I think they should probably break it up. I mean, my opinion, right? Like, you have this is the second movie they're together. Second movie.
Second.
Kong. Yeah, which is fine, but like, you can't do that every time, right? When you're trying to tell two stories, like, you need to, you need to break them back up.
And they've split it in a way that like Kong is in Hollow Earth doing his thing and Godzilla's up top, like, and that's the split that they will continue to have. And they even say so much in the movie, like, they're like, we will have no issues going forward as a species as long as Kong stays down there and Godzilla stays up here. But if they go, like, if that switches, then there'll be problems. And that's exactly what, that's part of what happens in the movie. But yeah, like, they need to split it up. It needs to not be like it's cool for this kind of thing, or it's cool every once in a while, like the little team ups that can happen. But it needs to go back to being solo so that more of these things can breathe and do their thing.
Nice.
I agree. All right.
That was it. That was my week.
Welp, same here. Not a whole lot going on. Midwest Gaming Classic. We got Kiki. Got a thick Kiki.
Damn, she just dropped off Dr. Doolittle's like zoo to your house, like, in your office, and then was like, "All right, laters."
I know, and it's literally 50% of all the animals in this house.
I know.
Which everybody can stay except for the thick cat that just came running in because he sucks.
Oh gosh.
He actually doesn't suck, but he'll start picking on everything in the room to get my attention. So, oh well. Anyway, Preston.
Yeah, Midwest Gaming Classic. I got a couple of pulls there. It did get a real big expansion. Like, these, let's say, sales floor, if you will, or the vendor floor, where you have Artist Alley and you have all the people with used games. Like, that has, I would say, probably doubled in size.
Yeah.
Not necessarily double the amount of vendors, because there was like, in between every like 2 rows of vendors, you would have like iconic movie or cinema cars. There was the Jurassic Park vehicles, the Ecto 1 was there, Knight Rider car, the old school Batmobile, red and black was there. So it's all fun stuff to see. Not to mention to see, was it Amano's actually had actual art from Omano's like work there. Like there was like at least like half a dozen, maybe a little bit more, of the actual paintings and stuff like that that were there just for you to go and look.
Yeah.
We were walking by like, does that actual like, oh shit, like they just have these chilling back here. No one's really back here looking at
And
them.
Press and I we almost had a heart attack because there was a side table that had like a book, and it looked like he was there, like signing
I'm like,
stuff.
is he fucking here signing? I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy.
And so we like run over to this table, and then it was like, oh no, somebody just set their book and a pen in a way that, but it's
we got
just somebody's stuff, and we were like, all right, fuck this, but yeah.
But yeah, got some good pulls there. I was talking to Christian. I'm like, I think the reason why I didn't walk out with as much as last time is because like I feel like I've kind of started to get most of the games that I've been thinking about getting. And then I think after this point, it's going to be like, oh, well, I'll pick up this game because I remember renting it or I remember hearing about it. Like, that's going to be getting that point. But yeah, as far as like my old collection that I got rid of, like I've gotten most of them that I care to get. Like, I want to go after my GameCube collection, but GameCube games, they're sparse. And the ones that are there are not usually the ones you want to get. And if they are, they're very expensive. So I picked up, and actually, was it Saturday before you went there, we kind of shopped around a little bit too, because that was Alexa's thing. Like, oh, we're going to go and check out a couple other game places like out here where we got breakfast. And I got Super Bombad Racing, Star Wars Super Bombad Racing. It's like a PS2 Star Wars, like Mario Kart type of deal. And then I also picked up the new Star Wars card game, Star Wars Unlimited. They had literally like a 2-player set like right there. And I'm like, I was asking, like, hey, I was just kind of curious since we're in here. I see you guys got like Magic and stuff. Like, when does like the new Star Wars one? I know there's something coming out for Star Wars. When does it come out? He's like, it came out. It's like, in fact, we have one more pack for the 2 players, and it wasn't a bad price.
And he sits there. And it
I'm
was not a bad
paused,
price,
and Christian in the background, you're gonna get it, man. And the guy's like pulling it off the shelf before I even say anything. He's like, he's just gonna get it anyways. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, so Press is sitting there and he's looking at it and he's like, oh, right on, okay. And he's like, that's the 2-player pack over there. But I said, why are you asking all these questions? You know you're gonna buy this. I was like, just get it. And he was like, and the guy like starts laughing and starts pulling it off the shelf because he can tell. And Preston was like, yeah, go ahead and bring it up.
You might as well just bring it on.
Dude, sometimes that stuff's fun. Like Travis and I, we'll meet up for coffee now and again, and we'll just go over and play Magic and have some coffee, right? Like, there's a little local coffee shop we go to. It's never super busy, and
the next time I go to hang out with Christian at his place, I'll probably bring that over and see if we can get down and play a game or two. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it seems like I was learning the rules. It's very Magic type. It's like turning cards, activating, and stuff like that. So it'll be fun to learn. At the actual Midwest Gaming Classic, I got my own personal copy of Final Fantasy XII Original. I just wanted to have that. I'm like, okay, we'll get that, put it on the shelf. I also got Star Wars Jedi Power Battles, which is a really fun, like, co-op game from, like, Episode 1 era. In fact, it was even before we knew what Mace Windu's lightsaber color was, because they gave him a blue one in this game, not a purple one, because they just didn't know. And then... what else did I get?
Wait, did they not know, or did
no?
It seem
like,
no,
the
people making the game did not know.
Yeah, they did not choose that color until episode 2 when he decided. So, but he didn't pick out his lightsaber until episode 2. He might have picked out the hilt or something like that, but he's always been he sat in a chair for a little while and was stood up for a little bit at the funeral, I guess. But that's about it. And other than that, I don't think I got anything else. We tried to get Jake's game that he was looking for. It was like a Fire Emblem game that's for GameCube.
Radiance.
And he's like, if it's $250 or less, you let me know. And when we pulled up, it was $350 for that GameCube game. So I was like, hey, $250? He's like, no, can you go higher? I'm like, no, I just gave you my highest. It's for my friend. I was just asking because I figured it wouldn't hurt. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes. We're not going any higher than $250.
That makes it sound like maybe a $275 would have got the deal.
Well, a dude right next to me was telling me, he's like, I actually got that off of eBay for like $230. He's like, you can find it if you really want to. He's like, but yeah, he's like, I personally wouldn't pay over $300. I'm like, to be fair, I wouldn't pay over $100 for that game. But if it's a game you want, Jake, I get it. I understand. If you got the Skrill, more on you.
Presses over here. I wouldn't pay $10 for that fucking game.
I'm down to like 4 or 5 games I would love to have with the box that I would be willing to pay a decent bit of money for. Yeah, would do nothing more than just like sit on the shelf, right? Like that's all it would do.
Exactly. You get a nice little crystal case for it. Yeah, exactly.
Just a few.
I got Uno Mas. That's it.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's nothing crazy, but it's the Chronicles of Riddick, the Dark Athena game.
I saw it there, but it was a crappy packaging.
Yeah, it was
in Japan.
I'm not doing that one, so.
I kind of regret. I kind of don't like. In Japan, I found a copy of Final Fantasy X, the Japanese edition. But the problem, and the only thing that kept me from buying it, is the fact that like it was the white cover with the Amano art, but it was very plain. Like, I love the cover of Titus and the blues and the stuff they have, but the only way you can ever find it anymore is like platinum hits by PlayStation.
Yeah, I made sure with Final Fantasy 12, I'm like, I don't want this platinum hits, greatest hits, or some bullshit. I want the original, like first print, if you will, of the game.
That's what that's what I'm looking for on that 10.
Yeah, we saw a bunch of games that I have that, like, I don't know what the reason is that they've like spiked up in popularity or cost or whatever, but like there was copies of Parasite Eve, a game of which I owned the regular edition plus the Japanese import, and the people were getting like $390 for that game. I was like, look,
it's because we have
Parasite
money,
Eve.
Christian, and we're the ones that can buy stuff now.
I'm like, fuck, dude. I'm like, I love Parasite. Well, I've had it forever, but when I picked my copy of Parasite Eve up, it was like $20. And so the fact that it's skyrocketed for whatever reason is kind of crazy. But there was a couple games like that where I was looking at it and I was like, I have this game at home. I was like, I would never pay this price for it. And I love this game, but like, what is happening here? It was nuts, but yeah.
Oh, last one I picked up from there. I'm no longer a Star Fox 64 fake fan. I did pick up my own copy of Star Fox 64.
He does own the best version of that game.
I do.
Now.
I do own the best version of that. I think some people would say 3DS is probably the best version of that game, but yeah.
Well, that's a remake, so it doesn't really count.
Do you have a console to play it on?
Yeah, I got 64.
Okay. I didn't know if like you would still be going to like the digital store, the digital shop to like play it on their service you pay for on the Switch.
Oh no! If I wanted like to have a night of it, I would definitely play it on there. Or I would back it up on my computer so I can play it on my Steam Deck. One of those type of deals. So that's what I would do. If I really wanted to get I wanted to get the nitty gritty, like I have to play it the way it was, or if I want to play it on the stream, I'll bust out the console. Sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it for the Gaming Classic. Played some more Helldivers 2. That was fun. Christian, I'm pretty sure you were there too. But yeah.
Yeah.
It looked like they cleared out the galaxy.
Well,
the bots are done.
The automatons are gone.
Is it just the automatons? It looked like everything for a hot minute was clear.
No, the bugs are still there, but the automatons are gone.
So people are now on a certain planet where there's like a Saturn-looking planet. Go on. They are seeing shapes in the distance. If you land on the planet just right, there are some ship-looking objects that are stealthed back there, but you will see the silhouette of them if it lines up just properly with the planet. Which, if we're getting rid of the automatons, I guarantee with the new war bomb that's coming out soon and everything, we'll get the alien race, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But we were playing against a couple gunships. Gunships are a big pain in the ass. Like, you need to make sure to have like your heavy weapon, if you will. You need to make sure to have someone to take that down. Yeah, quasar cannon, some anti-tank rockets or whatever. Yeah, you need to have something like that. That
game is fun, hard stop. But what blows my mind even more is the both the real stuff about the game of being able to see that, but also the fake information campaign.
The misinformation. Mm-hmm.
Holy shit! The community is amazing.
If you go on Reddit there, it's
you don't know what's real, what's not real.
Can I say
fake propaganda?
It's wild. It's wild. Yeah,
it's crazy because this game, in any other universe, would be a giant piece of shit. Like, if Sony would have even had an inkling of an idea that this game was going to be as big as it was,
it was so bad with microtransactions.
They would have ruined it. It would have been bloated with just the most predatory, garbage ass shit that we've seen in the game. Oh, dude, yeah, it would have been $70. It would have just been awful. It would have been probably
I love how this slipped under the radar. It's fantastic.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's like in so many other universes, this was a total, complete bomb, and everybody would just been like, fuck you, I'm just going to go play original Helldivers still. Stop, don't ever look in my direction or speak to me or my son ever again. But with this, it's like Sony just sort of assumed that it was going to do numbers like the first one did. So they just fucking ignored it and just like let them make what they wanted to make. And shocker, the game comes out and everybody fucking loves it. And it's like, I know that there are people at Sony right now that are foaming at the mouth to try to figure out a way that they can fuck people over somehow in this game. And I will not be shocked if after the current like content roadmap is done, they are going to have some sort of like what a 2.0 like overhaul could look like, right? For like season 2 or whatever that, you know, like whatever they call it. And I'm very scared in that moment that Sony will do what they do.
Did you see some of the latest like conspiracy theories, especially about like the automatons and Malevelon, the planet, and some other stuff where like on certain planets people have been reporting around bases of like bodies with severed heads and like dissection tables, and they're essentially like people have just figured out like, oh, the automatons are like us. They're humans that have been turned, and some people, and again, this is what's crazy about this community. There's some people like reporting of hearing things of like the automatons running and shooting, saying like, I can't stop, right, and other stuff.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of cooperation around it, so like it's impossible to know what's real, what's
who's
like
making this shit up on
that,
Reddit for
like,
funsies.
The community's
and it doesn't help that like when the gunship showed up. And people were like, holy shit, I'm seeing gunships and some of these, or the walkers, like the AT-ATs.
Yeah.
And people were like, holy shit, like, I don't know. And then, you have the developer coming out and being like, this is just bot propaganda, don't listen to this. Like, that kind of shit.
And
like,
to be fair,
so
you have the game
funny.
like we did to where Zach's off on the other side of the map, and he said he saw one, but none of us saw it. So we're like, did you really see it? I don't know, man. You could just be lying to us.
Yeah.
It's a wild game.
It's great.
It's a great game. I love that game.
Yeah.
Have fun every time I play it. Other than that, a little bit more of Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age. I pretty much just did a handful of hunts. I finished all the rank 1 hunts because it was literally just me going through and one-hitting everything. I just had to run to where I was going
like
to.
Smoking them, yeah.
I ran out of the little like teleportation stones. So I actually have to now run to all my destinations. Luckily, there's a fast forward.
You can take airships and stuff too, though. But
you can, depending on which place you're going to. But yeah, if you're going to some place in the Giza Plains that's like 3 or 4 like different blocks down, you're gonna have to run through all of that.
The super fast forward though makes you just fly through.
It helps
you're
a
very
lot,
fast.
and if that wasn't there, I wouldn't be very upset right now. Because not only does it help with getting there, but it also helps with if I do just want to kind of go after some of these enemies along the way. Like I can just hit that fast forward, and as long as my gamuts are good, then I don't have to worry about what we're doing. I'm just like, okay, just go do your thing. These 2 people will heal, and this person will go ahead and just take all the brunt of the hits. So it's been fun. I'm now at the second tier of hunts. I ran into a hunt to where it says to go to this area, like it's the Giza Plains, I think, and it's like he'll show up. It's like Giza Plains rain, and I'm like, okay, well I'm going to the Giza Plains area. I'm like, I can't find the dude who I'm supposed to talk to, like the quest giver. I'm like, what the hell? So I look it up, and this game has a system, in-game system, to where it's like the rains happen like every 2 to 3 days, which is like an hour is like a day worth, but it's actual in-game hour. No pause and let it sit. It's like, no, you have to be playing for an hour. Like, don't be wrong, I could probably turn it on, leave it in like the main town, and just let it go for an hour.
I think you can also trigger it by like going in and out of areas too. I thought.
Nope, it is based off of the actual game clock. I was diving through Reddit on this one because I'm like, I just want to change it. I just want to change it right now because I'm here. And it's like, no, it's like 2 hours. There's a guy you can meet at like the South Gate who will tell you what time of. It's like, oh, it's like mid dry season or mid dry time. So like you'll have to wait like another hour, hour and a half or something like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a couple of the other hunts, and then at that point, I'm going to go back into the mines and see if I can get through there and do that thing. There's no place right now that I can buy ether, so that sucks. Or ether. So I've been looking at...
I mean, that's... that's mostly a thing in all Final Fantasies, but yeah.
But it's so weird. If you're given a whole bunch of magic characters, like, allow me to get the item that lets me get magic juices, right?
Well,
I want more MP.
The idea is that you only use ethers when you're like in a really tight spot in the middle of a battle, but the idea is that you usually try to use your magic in such a way that like it stays between save crystals, which then heal you up to full.
Sure. But in the mines, there's not a whole lot of those health crystals. And I was running into that issue. So I'm hoping that maybe the level 2 that I'm getting now, plus, I've been going through the license boards and trying to figure out how to get more MP, because there's just not like a spot on there that says more MP. It's, you can do it to where your potency is a little bit better, which means your heals will do more, which means you won't have to heal as often, hopefully. And then you'll have it to where it's like, okay, 10% reduction on MP costs. I'm like, okay, well, I'm definitely going for those. But the big get for MP is obviously your attire. So whatever apparel, whatever wizard robes you get or anything like that, that will help. So you want to get your accessory nodes and your normal clothing nodes. And then you also have, the mists, or like your supers, if you will. Each one that you get will give you a giant chunk of MP. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, now my idea for my healers is whatever branch we want to go off on, like we're going to start hitting to where we can get the second, not summon, but super to kind of get through.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing right now, hopefully getting them up to high level. I was going after one hunt, and I got a little overwhelmed. So I think rank 2 is where I should probably hold off on for a while. I went to this one section, and these like fucking giant tall bird people. I don't know what the fuck they are. But like there was 2 or 3 of them there, and 2 more of them walk up, and then all of a sudden 2 more spawn in. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I'm like, thank God for the mists. I'm like, all right, let's just drop it now and just get everybody down. So I did that. And then the hunt animal was there. It's this big-looking gator guy. And he was one-shotting multiple people. So as far as, like, he would do the one move and 2 of my teammates would go down. I'm like, okay, we're kind of fucked in this one. And then, of course, while I'm in the middle of fighting him, he's like half health. 2 of those fucking bird people walk up. I'm like, God damn it. And, like, most of my party's gone. I'm like, all right. We'll go ahead and
you have somebody who has the skill that lets you like analyze enemies, right? To like see their stats and things like that.
Nope. To try to find weaknesses, yeah, I don't have that yet. Not that.
No, well, you definitely.
I apply the character, but I don't have the ability or skill.
Could be an item-based sensor. Yeah.
Yeah, but you might not have like bought the ability on the license board or whatever, but you have the ability to do it. You can use that to gauge like when you are going up against a hunt, and then do that because it'll tell you what level the enemy is, so you can know pretty quick like, oh, okay, I need to go elsewhere.
Sure, yeah, that's what I need to start doing. But also found the Gambit shop. Didn't know there was a Gambit shop. I was wondering how to get Gambits, so finally found that one. So it's like, okay, well here's each 10% incrementals of what you want to do for your Gambits. Like, okay, so now I don't just have 50 and 30 and 70. I can now choose whatever percentage I want as far as increments of 10 and buy them for 70 gil a piece. But I went through them like, okay, I'm going to buy a bunch of these. The only one that I don't have, or that I don't know how it works yet, and a lot of people are just saying that, hey, I make my casters my party leader, because that way I can manage the casting, because it's not as easy to take care of those with Gambits. With healing, it's one thing, but when you're wanting to do like slow or poison or like anything like that, like there's nothing that has like enemy doesn't have this stat, right? So I couldn't find anything that says like enemy does not have slow, so it'll cast slow. There's no way for me to input that in there, because if I put just do slow, it will constantly just do slow until I'm out of mana.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah, so that is the right way. So Gambits for enemy spell, or like for damaging spells, is usually not advised, only because...
Which is why like, Ana keeps getting low on MP and not being able to heal, because she'll be doing fire in the middle, because I don't want her to... To be fair, I don't want her to rush up and start swinging on people. I'm like, no, you're my healer. Stay in the back. Which means I gotta get rid of her attack altogether, which I don't really want to do. I just wish that she had some type of range spell that was free of cost.
Yeah. But. So what you can do is, so like the way that I do it is for buffs, like buff to the parties, so like to cast Protect or Shell or Haste or whatever. I use those gambits. So like, because those will only do it when it's not applied. So like, if you cast haste on somebody, you won't get a recast until they need it again.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do some buffs like that, you can put those for gambits. But other than that, you want to be in charge of when that happens, for sure.
Okay. But yeah, I'm hoping that I'm not hitting a wall part here. So I'll find out. Like, I'm gonna try to do 2 more hunts, and I'm gonna go back to those mines, and we'll see how I feel with that. But yeah, I just hope I'm not hitting a wall. Other than that, like everyone else is saying here, we not a whole lot of time to play games. So I finished up the game that we were talking about tonight, and then I talked about Free Run last time. Amazing show. Everyone should watch it. But then I started up because I finished that one, and that was season 1. So season 1 just ended of that show. So that was actually this past year, or this year. And then I started watching the Jujutsu Kaisen because the anime community won't shut the fuck up about it. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and watch.
It's true.
Let's just go ahead and start it then. Like, we got time.
It's both the anime and manga community won't shut the hell up about it.
So I started up. I'm like 6 or 8 episodes in. The animation is top tier, phenomenal, fantastic. The fight scenes, everything looks gorgeous. It gets a little cheesy, corny, like very anime Japanese manga. To where it's like, oh, they go into funny looking faces and they make all these cutesy sounding like things, and it just. I'm like, I kind of wish it was taken a little more seriously. Like, I get it. That's probably the attraction of it. Like, same thing with like Trigun. Like, I love it when Trigun gets super dark and super real. I don't mind it when it gets a little goofy and funny here and there. But I think Trigun had a real good job of balancing that act. This one, especially because I've heard like it does this more in the beginning, and it gets less so later on. But it does it a lot more right now. So it's a lot more goofy than I expected it to be.
That's kind of just that style. Like shonens get like that. You know what I mean? Like Naruto, Dragon Ball, Demon Slayer. Like they all Demon Slayer has My Hero. Like just shonens.
And I don't hate all of it. Like some of it's very funny and very well done. It's just not what I was expecting walking into it.
Yeah.
Do you think we're in a time where like all animes are this incredible, or it's not even a fickle fan base? It's like this fan base moves so quickly because like before Jujutsu Kaisen was Spy Family, and before Spy Family was Demon Slayer. Before Demon Slayer, it's My Hero. Like
One Piece in there. You have all this. Yeah,
this community at large moves so quickly to like the next big anime.
That's because they'll consume it so fast.
Yeah, they won't shut the hell up about Jujutsu Kaisen. It's like, but like a month and a half ago, literally wouldn't shut the hell up about like Spy Family.
Yeah, last year was like Attack on Titan or something like that. Yeah,
but so I don't know that it's that because it's just seasons of a TV show, right? So like the reason they were able to move on to Jujutsu Kaisen and start talking about that is because like I don't think that Spy Family has a new season out.
Yeah, there's a new movie coming out. So,
I
keep seeing
and
but that's what I mean. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, are all of these seasons that good, or do they just like finish something up as like somebody's got to go find the next one? When somebody says this is the new one, everybody jumps on that train and says like, hey, that's real, this is the new one. I
think it just depends, I guess, because like I don't know, I think that if your favorite like type of show is like just shonen anime, then they probably are that good to you, like because it's the formula that you like, and so as long as it's like doing it well, then it probably hits for you. But like actual quality wise, I mean I haven't seen them, so I wouldn't know. But my guess is like, I mean, it's like anything. Like when Edge Runners came out, everybody was like, Edge Runners is the hottest shit ever,
Chainsaw Man. Like everyone wouldn't shut the fuck up about Chainsaw Man, but when's the last time you heard about Chainsaw Man after that season ended?
Right. Well, they haven't done a new season yet, but that's
exactly. So that's the whole point. It's like everyone's talking about it during that season, and then we're waiting for a second season, so no one's really talking about it now because there's no new stuff.
But that's like yeah. It's
that's
just
every
I think
TV
that's
show.
Just like that's just the TV show cycle that you just fall into. But it's just that's. Well, like, none of us, we all like My Hero, but we weren't talking about it. But then when the new season got announced, we were like, oh shit! Like
maybe it's just it's different for animes because I know, Preston, you just said like, oh, that's every TV show, but that's not really true, right? Like, when was the last time you heard somebody just be like, oh my god, I finished The Office. Have you watched The Good Place? Oh my god, I finished The Good Place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't. people don't jump from TV show to TV show like that, and I think it's
Don't
probably
they,
because
though?
there's
I kind of see it
more-
here and there. Like,
But
Ted
there's-
Lasso, you
people
start talking
don't-
about Shrinking, or you start talking about Succession, and they're done with Succession, so they're off to the next thing.
Then there was
But-
Res Dogs, and then there was.
but I think it's different
and then
because-
you move on from that, and then
No. Like yes, may, but like the people that are super into Res Dogs or that are super into the hockey one, right? Like
Oh, yeah, Shorzy.
those probably Shorzy. There's a good chance they're not the same people that are super into Succession.
Oh, yeah.
They're just
no,
not the
yeah,
same.
I don't think so.
Right?
Anime people
So,
like,
like-
anime, but Western
Right,
TV show
so-
viewers don't all like Western TV shows all the same.
Yeah, and so I wonder if it's just that like the ones that make it the anime like is a smaller genre. It's one genre versus all other TV that you're talking
Yeah.
about. Could be dramas, could be action, could be fantasy.
They have their
So,
own side
you know,
things, but not as much as
the only
Western
the only
shows.
the only reason I don't know that I can get that I don't go that far is like everybody and their brother. Like there was all people from all walks of life wouldn't shut the fuck up about Game of Thrones, and then it was the House of like whenever
You
those
definitely
things, like,
have some of those, sure, but there were like I think there was like 4 or 5 years between House of Dragon and Game of Thrones, right? Like
not just that, but I'm saying but then when Game of Thrones ended, all those same people were like, "What's the next? Like, I need a new show since Game of Thrones pissed me off so much." And then it goes from there. Like people, oh, you should watch this or you should do this. Like, I think that it's just, I don't know. I don't see that big of a difference in it. Like, I think that there's a lot of.
I get what you're saying,
Stuff
though.
like
I
that,
do
but-
see the difference, but it's. I see.
I
some
think it's because
similarities.
anime's more niche,
Yes, for
right?
sure.
I mean, that
Like,
You have
part's
to be
true.
So-
willing to watch a
so-
quote unquote cartoon,
Right. It's more niche. So then when you look into a column of somebody talking about a new anime to watch, it just seems like everybody seems to be like on that one, right? Until the
Yeah.
season's over, then they go to that next one, right? I don't know.
Whereas, like, I have to just look when I look at stuff for anime. It's just like, is this another shonen anime? Okay, well then I'm good. Not no disrespect to like the ones that like there's a very good chance that Preston can come on here and be like, yo, Jujutsu Kaisen's the fucking truth. Like, I love it.
There's a lot of cool things happening in it, but-
30 episodes in it. Yeah, like, so
I like the
totally,
shonen style. It works for me.
I do too. Here's the thing: is I like shonen as well. What I mean is that like I only have enough space for a couple TV shows that plan
Especially-
on going or animes
Yeah.
that plan on going for 100+ episodes. Like we have just passed that in like My Hero. We are approaching over 100 in Demon Slayer. I'm sure by the end of it, we'll get there with One Punch Man. Like, I only have so much before I'm just like, I'm not juggling, like, all these different seasons of all these different fucking TV shows. And quite frankly, if Jujutsu Kaisen really is as fucking good as everybody says it is, I'm sure it will still be good whenever I go to
When you
revisit
get to
it.
Yeah.
When I get to it, if I do. Like, it's just...
the good thing about Jujutsu Kaisen, I think even in the manga, is like that Spy Family, Chainsaw Man. I think they only have like 30 mangas anyway, right? There's not that many chapters
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
So
There's a
on the
limited
plus side, you'd be
source
getting in
material.
on a lot of these bottom floor
Yeah.
versus like
Yeah.
starting at season 1 when you know there's already like 200 issues of the manga out.
Yeah. Like, I
So-
can't imagine, like, if somebody looked at me, like, if I hadn't seen it before and somebody was like, you should watch My Hero now, I'd be like, that's 100 episodes.
A lot.
I don't know that I can commit to that, fam. Like, that's a lot. It's easier now
Yeah.
because I'm already caught up, but, like, it'd be like if I looked at somebody now and was like, dude, watch Dragon Ball Z, it's great. And it's like, there's 500 episodes. It's like when people try to tell you, this is the shit, right? It's like when the Netflix thing for One Piece came out and everybody loved it. And again, from what I understand, because Kishimoto held a gun to those people's heads and said, you will not fuck this up, it sounds like they did a great job on the live action adaptation. And that's awesome. But a lot of people were like, I'm going to use this as my jumping off point to get into One Piece. That almost has 2,000 episodes. You are not going to catch me ever in my life doing... No. It's
But
not done,
what
by the way. It's not done.
You know
There's
what I would do, though?
He still
But if
hasn't
there's-
found
if
the
there's-
One Piece.
If there's a new season that came out that everyone's like, you have to watch, then I would just go to YouTube and watch the 2-hour-long
Yeah.
Catch Me Up to episode
It is-
1,000
1002.
episodes in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Kind of
Yes,
Yeah.
catch me up.
I need whatever crack you are smoking that you believe that somebody is going to be able to get 2,000 episodes
Dude,
plus
somebody-
then some.
Hey,
into
You
it
can look up
now
right now.
and have
One
it be
Piece in 10 minutes.
No. Yes, you can look up One Piece in 10 minutes, but just because that video exists does not mean that it gives you anything of substance whatsoever that would prepare you for whatever when you launch into this new season and it has 5,000 characters you don't fucking know because it wasn't in your... The 10-minute video is, look, here's Luffy and here's the blue-haired dude and here's the one girl that plays volleyball. 10 minutes, I've done.
Not 10 minutes, but the complete One Piece canon timeline, all lore and history, uploaded a month ago, 2 hours and 22 minutes. This is a movie. I could watch that.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I
better
could
than
watch
2,000
that. You can catch me up on 2,000
I
episodes in 2.5
the
hours.
comments will be
that.
like, the comments through that video will be like, no, you are missing out on X, Y, or Z. If you launch into it, I'll bet you this, the new season of One Piece that comes out, you watch that video and then get on there, and if you are able to talk about every single character that shows up in there in depth, I would be blown away. The answer is there's no fucking way in hell you'd be able to do that.
All right, we'll see if they ever launch a One Piece new season and we catch it. We'll see if we can do it.
2-hour video and catch it up, and then we'll see if we can do it.
Yeah, and we'll watch the first episode together, and I will pause it on every character and go, tell me about them.
Who's that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I need the same answer from both of you, so you guys will be muted. One of you be muted, and then I'll have, you watch the same video, so what the fuck? You guys should give the same answer.
Okay, first of all, those are too many stipulations. I'll tell you why. Because Allie and I...
It's one stipulation. It's a single stipulation.
No, I'll tell you why it's too much. Because Allie and I will watch TV shows like from episode 1 to episode 6 or 8, and I'll be on episode 8 and still get characters' names wrong. I'm terrible with that stuff,
same,
right? I know what's going on. I was terrible with some of that stuff, so that's a little unrealistic.
But first of all, again, it was a single stipulation. So, and secondly, you guys are saying like, I wouldn't ask for perfection, but if you guys were in the same ballpark, I would be like, okay, it seems like they actually know. But if you guys gave completely different answers, I'd be like, yeah, bullshit. You guys don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
On the plus side, though, Preston and I
also
get together
that would
ahead
mean
of time.
that video didn't work.
On the plus side, Preston and I could get together ahead of time and do it because there's a 90% chance you wouldn't know all these characters either because you've also never watched 2,000 of these episodes.
I'll Google every single one. Oh yeah, in that moment, I'll be like, interesting. That's your answer. Okay, hold on, and then I would go look, and that's how we'd prove it. But that's why it's a 2 hour.
The proof would take longer than the
work.
2.5 hour movie we had to watch. Just saying.
That's the proof.
All right. Well, that's my week.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get into this final part of Metro, I just wanted to say something I forgot to say last time on part 3.
Okay.
Preston, did you catch the Star Wars reference at the beginning of part 3 of that playthrough?
Like with them on the track, like before they fell off?
Yeah, so you're on the train. It's right after you left the sand area, right? You're having, it's one of the, I think it's summer or whatever, where you're on the train and you walk around hearing every conversation. If you walk to the end of the train, there's the guy that's dealing with all the guns, and he was like, hey man, like, you brought back XYZ gun. He's like, from the desert. He's like, that's pretty awesome. He's like, somebody took care of this gun, which is great. He's like, because of the desert, there's sand. I hate sand. It's coarse, it's rough, it's irritating. And I was like, nice.
I did not catch that.
Nice.
No.
Yeah. They added that in. I made note of it, and I just forgot to bring it up last week, because like that's funny.
Very cool.
So, that's funny. Yeah, I did not notice that either.
Cool. So, all right, take it away.
All right, so this was a little shorter, but this is the end of the game, so we'll go through here. So the sections we were talking about are Autumn, Dead City, and then the endings that we got. 2 of us got the same ending, and 1 of us got a different ending. So we will go through those.
Okay, the way you said that, I immediately believe that Preston got yours, but now I'm starting to wonder if Preston and I got the same ending.
We got the same ending, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think we did too.
Yeah, I'll just tell you yes. I'm the only one who got the
The not so bad ending. Yeah.
No, we'll talk
Here's
about
the thing.
it.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. There are things in both that I think there's. Yeah, I think the better descriptor is a sad ending and then a less sad ending is how I would say is like
I would call it ending 1, ending 2. To be honest with you,
there's one that's a little bit more depressing than the other, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get there. So the game or this section opens up with Autumn. So we're after we zip line with Alyosha. Well, some of us did.
I still zip lined
One
with
of us-
him. He is
Yeah,
still
yeah.
alive.
Line with him, to be fair.
He is alive. He is
Yeah.
just paralyzed from the waist down.
Paralyzed. Yep.
Because he got hit in the
So-
spine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting touch.
So here's the thing.
Okay.
So autumn opens up, and when we walk in, you're in the room with Katya and Anna, and Anna's not doing so hot. She is the Katya basically looks at you and is like, "You guys need to find this medicine, or she's gonna die."
She doesn't even move. She just lays on the bed. You can just like pet her
you
head.
can
That's all
you can pet her head and pet her hand, and that's really about it. But Katya basically is like, I'm going to make her comfortable, but like we need to really get this medicine, or we need to prepare, because like a dead body with TB spreads TB, so we need to get ready for that. So you walk out, and this is an interesting thing that I think the game does, where the game is, as soon as you walk out of the door, they basically are saying, "Hey, Miller wants to talk to you up front, so it's time. Like, you need to get your shit ready. You need to go." And the game needs to deal with the fact that you might be missing 3 characters from your game right now. So I know you guys, Alex, you saved Alyosha, but you had Gus. I don't even. We could call him Gus, but Gus is dead. Preston, you had saved Gus, but you got Alyosha dead.
No.
But then
Not
dead, paralyzed.
Just very
whatever.
pissed off at
I
me.
know.
Yes.
Yeah, which is all unfair. I love that you're splitting hairs when this guy has every right to be mad.
Did not
at you.
die.
Yeah.
He's gonna
I'd be
die
pretty-
though. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do being paralyzed in this world?
Hang on the train.
Yeah. Yeah.
Knit sweaters.
Anyways, sure. So, so what it does is it handles it the same for all 3 of us, which is all 3 of those characters who might be there or might be not be. The room is either empty or they're sleeping if they're alive. So you just walk right past them. So, but it's just this funny moment. I was like, I had the characters there and they were both just sleeping, and I was like, this is exactly what would be happening. Like, they would just be in their rooms in this moment also. But you walk up and you speak with Miller, and here's the thing. During this little spiel, he's basically he briefs everybody on the mission about what's been happening, and everybody sort of argues with him and be like, "No, we're fucking Spartans. We need to go together. Let us go with you." And he's like, "No, you guys have other places to go search. I'm sending you guys to go do these things so that we can go do this. It's Artyom and I's fault that Anna is in this position, so we have to be the ones to go do it." And he says, with me and all my hubbub about the occupying forces, and then Artyom with his fucking dream. And I was like, once again, you are putting blame on me for something. Like, I really need you to, like, keep my name out your fucking mouth
You
when
get
we're
off my
talking
dick
about this. Like, the fact of the matter is that yes, I did have these dreams, and yes, I saw these things, and I was trying to find them. But you lied to me for mad long.
No, you lied to everyone.
Yeah, but like, but I'm saying if
Yeah.
I'm just having the conversation with him, right? Like, you lied to me for mad long about it, and then when I got my wife, your daughter, to believe in it, and we went and found it, then all of a sudden you wanted to be like, "Oh, well, it's this, that," and you still wanted to be mad at us and all this other shit. But if you had been honest from the jump, like, we wouldn't have found it in the crazy ass way that we found it, and there could have been a better, more like an actual effort that would have seen nobody probably be hurt, and it probably would have been a lot easier to go for. So, like, I really need you to stop blaming me for something that's got really nothing to do with me. Like, she fell into that place because of you. Ain't got nothing to do with me, big dog. Now I have no problem going out to help her because she's my wife, but don't act like it's my fault that she's got TB. Like, that was all on you, big dog. I don't know how you're gonna handle that going forward, but you need to process that however you're supposed to process that. It was just another one of those moments. Like, he's like bitching about it, and he looks at you like, "We're gonna go do it because it's our responsibility because we did this to her." And I'm like, I was like that Snoop Dogg meme where he's like, "Who?" Like, he like leans into me like, "Who's he talking about?" Right. I know he's not talking about me. But yeah, so by the way, since this section is a little shorter, I'm gonna get all the way to our endings, and then we'll just give our final thoughts on everything. So we're just gonna go through it. So the Dead City opens up with you returning to the metro. Now, when it says that in the game, it's not actually a return to the metro that you know in Moscow, but into a different main city like a bigger city in Russia, and you were doing that because the Science Institute was there, and based on the maps and other things that you had been able to find, that is where the last little bit of this experimental medicine has been hanging out that you can potentially go and get. And so you guys get in a car, you drive out, and you basically,
Real quick, though, before you get there, you know what I love about this? So we get the turn, right, where at first they're like, on our way to where we're going, we should be able to get the medicine, the science is there, and it has low radiation. And then on your way there, they pull up the map, and they're like, hey, I was reading the map, and there's some super fine print over here that actually says low readings are also often wrong readings, and they're wrong in the sense that, like, it's not low, it's actually so high, it's off the charts.
But are we
to which point they go,
proper?
To which point they go, we have a couple of suits, we have more lead we can put on the suits, everybody's going to be good, except for the fact we're not going to tape up all these effing windows as we're just driving our train to the city.
Because they plan on dropping you off to go around, right? Because they're going to sort of go around the city and then swing back in on the opposite side and catch you on the train tracks and pick you up. And they basically say, like, you got 3 days. Like, 3 days time, we are driving through there to get after we get the snowplow to, like, survive through winter. And if you're there, we will get you. If you're not, we are driving on without you because there's nothing that we can do. And yeah, so to your they're like theorizing about what kind of bombs could have been dropped there that would still be causing this level of radiation. But yeah, so you get there, and they even tell you, like, the suits, they're like, even if we line your suits with lead, like, you've probably got like 2 hours outside before, like, it's gonna get you anyway. So, like, you need to not.
What I loved about the drive too is they don't really say it, or I guess they say it without saying it, but they're like, hey, again, the radiation's high, I don't know what bomb could have caused this. And then Miller's looking around, he's like, all these buildings are intact.
Yeah.
No bombs were dropped here. All these buildings are intact.
And so he's like a lot of these are still. He's like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, he's like, they're trying to figure out what happened. But you very quickly do not have a lot of time to figure out at first. I shouldn't say that. You don't have a lot of time to theorize because as you're driving, you hit a dead end. And when you get out, you drop down into the station opening that you find.
Hold up.
And
this is where my game broke. So you get to the tank.
Oh, no.
You get to the tank. Miller gets out. I have no way of getting out of the truck. I'm pressing all the buttons, everything, and I can't get out. Miller's still moving and talking to me, yapping. But there's no way for me to exit the truck. Reload from the last checkpoint. Pull up the tank. Got out just fine. But yeah, that's every part in here except for the first part. Like, I've always had like one spot to where it's like, got the reload now. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll just do that whole 15, 20 minutes again. It's an Xbox thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Console.
I mean, it could just be that port. Who knows? But yeah. But you drop down, and when you get into the metro, our old buddies, the Nasalises, are back, looking just
Worse
as
than ever.
freaky and fleshy as ever.
Fucking looking like goddamn Watto. I'm like stabbing him in the face, and he's like Snuffleupagus, gets nose going on there.
Yeah,
hey, honey, going fucking in there.
Yeah, dude. It was. As soon as you drop down, you start seeing them, and I was like, "Yep, that's
like mole people."
That's about right. That is about right. These things were catching shotgun blasts for days.
Get yourself in a corner, find out where they're popping up, one shot with a shotgun.
Just
Oh wait, are these the same? Are these the monkey enemies? No. Yes.
No, that is a special. We'll get there. That's very
the
towards the end,
yeah.
But the Nasalises are the same mutants that have just been across all the games that they ran in packs like little wolves kind of thing.
Yeah, in the metro.
Metro, yeah, but they're just like really fleshy freaks. That's what these are. But yeah, so you are fighting your way through them, and you're making your way, trying to use that metro to link up to find your way to get through the tunnels. Basically, you from the maps you guys have, you know that if you make your way through these sets of tunnels, or if you can get through them and find a way through them, one of the tunnels lets off at the Science Institute. So that's your goal. That's your main objective. So as you're going through, you drop down off of this bridge and you get into like this really, sort of green, goopy area. And as you sort of pick up and look and the light sort of hits the rest of the area, there's what can only be described as like body horror flesh pillars that are just like sort of smushed against all the walls and the ceiling, which was a really like, it was a good touch. Like I thought like it really was like, oh man, like there's some shit that has been happening here. But because of this game coming out in 2019, it was looking real gross.
Yeah.
Real fleshy and
nasty.
gross. Yeah.
Yep.
And my first thought when I was going through here was, boy, the other two are not going to like this.
The whole entire time I'm playing this, I'm like, I really hope Christian just backs off like the spoopy, gross games for like a little while. Like, just give us some fun games for a little bit before you just dive into another one of the entire trilogy of fuck me, goddamn horror games.
I, along with Preston, did not love this part. And then, as soon as we started boating, and you couldn't see underneath the water, and you had the water enemies with that stuff around the top too, I go, oh, Preston's definitely not going to like this either.
Nope.
That's exactly what I said to myself. He's not
I saw
going
a
to like
text,
this either.
and I'm assuming we'll get into it later. But yeah, I'll talk about that more.
Yeah, we will. So as you get through there, and then you walk up to, you're at the main junction, and you see that it is just littered with skeletons. I mean, to the point where you don't even see the floor. It's just all these bodies. And Miller is starting to piece together, he's out loud thinking, and he's like, I think I see what happened here. He was like, the radiation was so bad that it forced everybody underground. Mm-hmm. He was like, and then it's very clear, like, a civil war happened. Like, it was no longer sustainable. Like, everything happened so fast that it was done. And that's exactly what you come in upon, except as you go to start unlocking the door, some of the bodies start to move. And you're wondering what the fuck is going on there. Oh, it's just a bunch of Nosalises that were sleeping under the ground.
Yep.
Yeah, except for the fact that the first one literally just raised up
skeleton.
Straight from the dead. I was like, video game.
Yeah. That was another section where I was like, man, I am lucky that this is the last game in this series because I would have a hard time getting people to buy back in after this one. So as you go through that door, you keep walking through some of the different areas, and you walk up towards like this little rusted pipe entrance, and who do you see but a small child who puts his hands up and then immediately pieces the fuck out, and because Miller and everyone was like, hey, like I want to try to talk to you, and he is like, the kid is clearly just, go fuck yourself. And so he runs, and Miller does not help the situation by screaming, Artyom, you run this way, I'll run this way. We gotta catch him. So I'm sure that child was like, I don't know who you guys are, what you guys want, but I definitely am not gonna let you catch me. That's for sure. I know that.
How long did it take you to find the child in the final hiding place in the room where you're split and Miller is split from you?
Not that long.
Yeah.
I walked past that trash can so many times.
Yeah. I knew it was somewhere in there, so I just started clicking on it. But yeah, so you chase him, you find your way, and then he's in like a little trash can that he puts the lid on. You open it up, and he's in there. He tries to run. He immediately jumps out and like tries to run, and he almost gets past you, but you and Miller are able to catch him. And Miller very quickly is like, look, man, I don't know what the fuck your deal is, but we are not here to hurt you. And it's like, that's the quickest way. It reminds me of like the Always Sunny bit where he's like, Frank got beat up by those parents, and he's like, we gotta write a song about how we don't diddle kids. And then one of the characters is like, there is no faster way for people to think you are diddling kids than writing a song. And it's exactly like the same here, where he's like, he has the kid shoved up against the wall, and he's like, we're not here to hurt you. And the kid's like, you're hurting me now. Like, I don't. But so you have a quick conversation with him, and the kid's not super trustworthy of you yet, but he's like, I don't know, but if I'll take you guys in the direction of, and I'll take you guys near the science station, and we'll see how that journey goes from there. And as you are making your way through the tunnels, following him, what do we have but a good old-fashioned defend the tunnel sequence, because it wouldn't be a Metro game if we didn't have an army of mutants chasing after us and we had to defend a...
As soon as we hit that, I knew immediately. I was like, well, here it is.
Yep,
Yeah,
they've
we
had it in every game
finally
so
got
far.
one.
Yeah. So, and it's great because it's amazing because Miller throws a Molotov cocktail that ends up lighting in like sort of the corners of the little room, or the corners of the entrance. And so it's like it's just the whole room is lit up by this ambient flame essentially, and you see the Nosalis is coming out of the walls and like running through the fire and running at you, and it's like, this is really well done. Like, I love how this is done, but this, because of just of the upgraded everything with this game, this has such a different vibe than the first two games that a similar sequence has been in. It's nuts. But yeah, so you fight your way through them, and in the middle of it, the kid's like, hey, open this fucking grate and let me get in there. Like, please don't fucking leave me down here. So you do that, and you go and you kill all these mutants, and he's like, Miller tries to reach out to the kid and be like, hey man, it's okay, you can come down now, and then he doesn't answer, and he's like, I knew I shouldn't have let that fucking kid go up there. And the kid was like, hey, I'm here, like opens the door, and he was like, Miller like very quickly was like, oh, okay, there you are, like doesn't even want to talk about the shit that he was just talking shit 5 minutes before the kid popped up. But that is, so you lead into there, and that is the kid leading you into the hideout, where he briefs you on the fact that there's only 2 survivors in this entire metro. It's him and his father.
This part was sad and wild.
Yeah. And he basically lets you know that everybody is dead. There was a giant civil war after the green stuff ran out, which the green stuff is there to cure the radiation sickness that was so heavy in that area. And basically it was every so often people had to take that so that they could survive and get the radiation out of their blood. And so he basically lets you know that, and he says, we had a couple spare vials that we've been saving. And he was like, my dad ran off to go get the maps he's like, because we're pretty sure we found a safe zone. Like, there is a completely safe zone near the Balkis Sea or something like that, or whatever they said it was, the Balkis Mountains or something like that. And so they say, he's like, my dad went to go get it. He's like, but it's been like 3 days, and I haven't heard from him, and I can't get him on radio anymore. And so, like, I've just been waiting here for him. And we who've played this, the viewer, or the player, I should say, is seeing that sequence, and it's very clear. You can just go, your dad's dead. That's the case. You don't know that yet, and we technically don't know that yet, but we know that. Your dad's dead. And so
that kid's been living there for like 2 weeks by himself, which is just crazy to think about.
Yeah. Not 3 days. It was 3 weeks. He had been gone for 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks.
And so he basically says, like, when Miller sort of briefs him on everything that's happening, he's like, well, I'll totally help you guys. Like, if you're going to go... And Miller says, I'm going to go look for your dad, and I'm going to help him get the maps and bring him back here. And then Artyom, you go to the Institute, and you get the medicine. And then the kid's like, well, if you guys are going to go, you're definitely going to need these. And he's like, we were saving these till we got out of the city. He was like, but you guys are probably going to need them. So he gives you the last 2 vials of the anti-radiation medicine that you've got, or that he has, and then you go off on your mission.
And you said that the graphics make this game hit different in some areas. And this is one of them where, like, because everything's updated and the people models are better, the acting is good, like... When he literally said, like, I've been here, my dad's been gone 3 weeks, and, like, I'm waiting for him to come back, and we're going to do this when he comes back, or whatever. I think they were going to, like, celebrate something when he came back or whatnot. I just, like, it hits you just like, holy crap, like, this kid's been sleeping, eating, walking around this empty-ass metro.
Surviving in this entire metro by himself. I mean, remember, right, like, when we were playing through the first 2 Metro games, like, there's a lot of times where Artyom was by himself, but there's also plenty of time that you were around many a survivor. Like, Moscow, for the most part, survived in the metro, right? Like, there's full-on hub cities, like Polis and all the others, like, massive, still, like, chunks of humanity that are still, they just live under the ground. That is not the case for this child. He is literally a size of the Moscow metro, like a massive metro, but you are just in it by yourself.
This one hit different.
Yeah.
Just the updated everything.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a moment. They nailed how they wanted to sell that. But yeah, so you start heading off your way to the Science Center, and you are immediately greeted with just the most infested mutant tunnels that anybody could find, and the game is like, hey, you can either fight them all right now, or you can try to sneak. Up to you. But the joke is on you, because no matter what you choose, you will be fighting them no matter what, because as you make your way through that section, there is a door, like a door wheel that you need to open, and the second that you walk into the room that door is in, every single floorboard in that room is made up of the most flimsy wood that breaks and lets everything know your location, and as soon as that happens, they are on you, and you have to. So I don't know. What I did was I saw what hole they were climbing out of. I literally just threw a Molotov cocktail on top of it, and then started opening the door and was like, all right, see you later, fuckers. And then I just went in.
Smart.
Because the fun thing about this wheel is that if you get hit at any point during it stops and then also rewinds. Like it goes all the way back to its beginning state, which was real cool. But
I cheated. I didn't cheat that section, but I realized the floorboards were going to break on the first one. I heard the cracking, and I backed up, and it fell. I was like, okay. So I ran and jumped it, and then immediately crouched and crouch walked. So I was never standing in one place long enough for it to fall. So I got to the door, and then I just knifed two of them. And I had night vision on, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they kept coming out, but because I wasn't, like, I was standing still, or I guess I was crouched, and night vision with no light, I think only one came at me. I knifed him again. I had to reset the door once, and then I was fine.
Yeah. There's a max of 5 that spawn, so it's,
and then they'll have pause, and then they'll respawn again. But like what I did is like there's like a second level, like a higher tier. I just ran on top of that section as fast as I could.
Yeah.
Jumped into that corner, got my shotgun out. I'm like, okay, as soon as one of you come out of that little hole, I'm gonna be right there to take you out. And I just did that, like, okay, it kind of calms down. I'm like, okay, this is where we go back to the wheel. And it took a couple tries for me to figure out where that pause was.
Yeah, you do like 5 of them, and then it pauses and you have a chance to get the wheel before they send more in there. But yeah, so as you go, as you get through that main door with the wheel, you head down some stairs, and this is where you get into the first part of this boat section, which is just oodles of fun.
Yeah.
So you go through, and you have an option. So as you roll through the first part of the tunnel in the boat, there's a quick left that you can make. You can hop off and make and get into this room, and you can either get in there and get. It's basically all that's in there is extra supplies, but you can go in there and do that, or you can just keep.
A note.
Yeah, but I just mean like as far as things of consequence, like it's there's not like extra equipment or gear or like upgrades or anything. Like it's just equipment or resources, I should say. But you get in there and you can clear that out, and as soon as you open the door, you see like, oh, not only are there mutants, but the spiders are here in this room, which is cool. So you're like, oh, well, fun. I don't want to deal with this. So you can run through that, get all the stuff that you need, get out on the boat, keep going forward.
I think that was the spot they introduced the new enemy, if you will, which are just the slugs on the wall that do nothing but snipe you.
Yes,
hey,
from
crossbow with
miles away,
motherfuckers for days. Didn't run out of any ammo with that.
You hit the bow. You hit them with the bow, and you just pull your arrow right back out, which is nice. As you get further in the tunnel, more and more of the fleshy goop is starting to just be all over the walls.
You're getting like the
here.
weird, like it's like the thing in the back of your throat. There's a whole bunch of those things just kind of waving around. Fucking weird.
Yeah.
The uvula.
Yeah.
The uvula.
Yeah, and they are just everywhere, and it's like as you get closer to them, the light makes them shrink up, so they like will shoot up. But you go, and it's just more, and then you start getting into a little more narrower part of the tunnel. You start realizing, oh, sick! Those little slug things are all over these walls, and they just keep spitting at you. So your option is to shoot at them or just row your ass off and get through it. I just rowed.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no reason. I was like, 'cause I can't get out of this. I can't get into this water. So if I shoot you with the bow, I'm not getting my arrows back. And if I shoot you with bullets, I'm just going to be wasting my bullets on things that I don't need to be wasting them on. It's like, so I just need to row. So you're sitting there, and our team's just taking damage, just going, and you're just like, this is fantastic. as you pull in, the area starts to open up a little bit more, and you start to go, and you start seeing in the back that there is some things swimming in the water that are doing like a little bit of this motion here, and you're like, oof, that is, I don't want to deal with these motherfuckers. And just about when you're sitting there thinking like, I'm probably going to need to stop rowing here in a second and sort of figure out where I need to go and deal with these things, the game says, haha, we command grabbed you. Here's a cutscene. And it's a leech that broke your boat, so there's nothing you can do going forward. And then they try to swarm you, and you shoot at them, but they're basically going to keep taking pot shots. You can't stand on your boat. Like, they're going to keep taking pot shots at your boat to sink it, to get you in the water. And if you get in the water, that's instant kill. That leech is going to grab you, drown you, and kill you. So
they're so big too.
Very gross.
They're like 12 feet.
It's disgusting. They're
Can't kill them, but it's a lot of bullets.
Yeah, it is. So what you are supposed to do is you see there's some broken down boats that are floating in front of you. And what the game wants you to do is run and jump to them, to land on them, to sort of platform your way through this to get up to the ledge and pull yourself up. I don't know about you guys. I was making the first jump 100% of the time, no problem. The second jump, Artyom did not want to grab on or land in the right spot or whatever. I probably died 8 times. Just sprinting, jumping to that boat, and then hitting this like ledge or invisible wall, falling down in the water, and then getting killed immediately. And there was a couple times where I made it a little bit farther and I would make it up. But the game does not quick save once you make it through that section. And so if you die anywhere in like a little tunnel part next to it, it kicks you all the way back to the beginning of that boat, which is super fun.
Are we 100% sure the boat gets destroyed?
If you stand on it long enough, it will get destroyed.
Because I think I had it to where I was able to row past those 2 boats that you had the platform at.
I used the 2 boats. I did not go past them.
Okay. I thought, or at least I pulled up to the second one, I thought.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because mine, I don't know about, I mean, who knows? If I stood in that boat, I no longer had the ability to row anymore. Later, you do have the ability to row past certain things, but in this one, you do not, like, at least for me, it would not row anymore. I had to jump. But you make your way up, and then you pull yourself up to a train car, and you get up on top of there, and then what is it? But these train cars are completely head to toe, inside and out, covered in the fleshy goop. And it is less than ideal. And even the footstep sounds, where you're just like a squish, and you're just like, oh, this is not great.
I hated everything about this whole part.
Yep.
Yeah, I was done. The second that I started, like, all the I was like, I'm done in this area. I don't want to be here anymore. Especially with the platform. I was like, I'm already irritated, and these enemies are taking pot shots from across the map at me, and it's really pissing me off. I was like, I'm done with this section for multitudes of reasons. But yeah, so you start making your way through the section to pull down basically a couple levers to get some bridges to make your way across, to get a fresh boat lowered into the water so that then you can make your way out of this tunnel. And as you start making your way out, this is where the game really kicks in the psychological aspect again, because basically the top of the metro has been cracked open, so it's just pure outside nuclear radiation just shooting into this area, and the counter's going off crazy. Your vision starts to get all splotchy, and you start to get mad hallucinations with, like, it's like trains are coming at you, like all sorts of crazy shit. And I was like, man, it has been a minute since we've experienced.
Yeah,
like it's been a minute since you've experienced things like this. So it was really cool to see kind of that stuff again. And part of me was like, I wonder if some other like, I was like, the only thing that would make this better is if we had like a little bit of the Dark Ones here, maybe Khan shows up, like, I was like, it would really tie all this
I was
together,
hoping, like, Dark One's back? Are they doing some weird, crazy shit?
Yeah, honestly, yeah, and, we'll just say it now because we'll get there, but the Dark One, and I'll speak more about it in my final thoughts, but the Dark Ones do not show up in this game at all. They're not here.
That's not exactly true.
I mean, as far like sure, like you see like the flat in the endings and stuff, but in general, like in these gameplay sections, they're not here.
Yeah, I think they're in the game 3 times. I saw one of them.
In like as you're playing.
Oh yeah, okay. We'll talk about it at the end.
Okay, we'll get there. Either way,
there are three sightings of Dark Ones with a potential 4th, but the 4th comes on the if you let your game sit forever, like it'll show up at the main menu before you start your game. I just found out about that one today when I was looking around.
Oh, okay.
But I saw them once, but they show up 3 times.
Okay, we'll see, or we'll
talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk.
But yeah, so as you make your way through there, and Artyom he's very clearly like this radiation's kicking his ass, and to the point where there's a point where you have to dose yourself with the medicine, because as you come off this section, Anna is talking to you, and she's there, and it's very clearly a hallucination, but Artyom's having a hard time pulling himself together, so he injects himself with the medicine and then basically passes out until he's recuperated enough to get back up and keep going. And as you get out of that section, you run up the escalator that you were like in that station that you pull up to, and you are heading towards the Institute now. And as you are making your way out of the metro exit, you are back on the surface again. As you are going through the surface, you start to see big old feet prints.
Yep, I saw that. Like, oh no.
And they are just so happens that they are right in the direction of the Institute where you need to go. So much so, in fact, that you literally can just follow these footsteps like straight through, and it will take you to the Institute's basically the front door. And as you are going up, there's a ramp that goes up, and then a little, so as you make your way through the section, you are walking through, and you find like a little ladder that you pull yourself up, and that is where you meet the new enemy, the blind gorillas. And man,
they suck.
These things. They definitely suck, and they are looking just as fleshy as the Nosalis is, but way bigger, way stronger, way angrier, and way faster. So there's an achievement for getting through this section without killing any of them, which I got. I think I saw Alex. I think I saw you get it too. Mm-hmm. My question is, who's fighting these things? Like, by this time that you get to this section, what sort of arsenal did you build for yourself?
I freaked out on and just unloaded into, but after that, I'm like, we're not doing this again. I remember this now. We're going to run past all of these.
Yeah, like I'm just like, how did you have enough ammo to do this? Like,
I thought it might be like the second game where you like show your toughness and maybe they'll back down, or like no, they will kill you. Quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Yeah. So you very quickly figure out when it pulls you to the game is showing you they are blind, so they can't see you, but they can hear you. So stealth is your friend here, and you want to sneak your way through these levels, and you want to avoid stepping on glass or like extra little things to not get their attention, so that you can make your way through it as peacefully as possible. The best part about it, though, is that they're still looking for you the entire time that you're. And when I say they, it's because there's multiples as you get further on, and we'll get into it. But it's not like a moment where you can just like stay still and they won't find you. They're on a patrol path, and they will find you eventually.
They walk like close to every corner too. So if you're hiding in a corner, like they'll walk close enough.
Yeah, they will. They wall hug like a motherfucker. They will make sure that they cover every area. So you really have to like be on the move, but also try to be quiet at the same time. It's very, as far as like a thriller section, they do a very, very good job at this section. But yeah, so you're making your way through, and you're trying to restore power to the building so that you can get the doors open, so that you can make your way into the medicine like research lab, so that you can pull the medicine out and then get the fuck out of there. And as you're going through here, our team has plenty of hallucinations of many different kinds. Sometimes it's just different people. A lot of times it's Anna, and he indulges every single one of them that comes through. Some of them is Anna sort of talking to you, being like, "Hey, it's okay. Like, don't even worry about it. I know you tried, so just you go ahead and die here, and I'll meet you on the other side." Like, all these things. And then like there's a couple times where he like, there's one time where she's talking to him and he like reaches down to grab her, and then when he does, it comes back to reality, and it's just like a very, very dead body with like a mask attached to it. So there's hallucinations all over here, and you're dodging you're trying to deal with all these hallucinations and all these things that are happening, while also dodging, sometimes at most in certain areas, 3 blind gorillas that are in an area that are like always on your fucking ass like the entire time you're going through there, which is, like I said, I think that this section, as far as like how to do like a thriller, like sort of like high tension section in a the first one is really the only survival horror game. Like the last 2 have been sort of first person shooters that have horror elements. This felt like a return to like, hey, we're gonna make something that's like tense. It might not be spooky, but it's going to be tense. It reminds me of later Dead Space sections, like the chase sections in like Dead Space 3 or whatever, where or in like Resident Evil, right? Like Resident Evil like 3 and onward sort of were more action focused, and so like they have a lot more like high tension as opposed to like actually spooky things, you know what I mean? And that's what this one felt like, but I thought they did a great job. But yeah, so you make your way through, and in the last room there's 2 gorillas that are over there, and I don't know about you guys, but this room, all the other rooms, I always found the safe path that I could get through to like not make any noise and just get out. This one, there was safe paths, but it felt like after you got the power on to get the door open to like go through the go up and then around the stairs to like actually get out and go into the medicine room, I like it felt like in that room specifically there was nothing, like they were going to be alerted to your presence one way or the other. Like they were going to find you somehow. And so when I heard one of them make a bunch of noise and the music kick up and start running towards me, I stood up immediately. I was like, fuck this. I started sprinting and like jumped up the stairs and ran. I was like, fuck you. I'm not doing this. But so now that there was a door that was shut, it opens, you're able to go through there, and you make your way through and then drop down into the laboratory. And this is sort of the last sort of section in the game here where you are making your way through heavy solution or hallucinations happening here as you're getting the medicine. And Anna is actually lying dead on the ground in the front of this, like as you're walking through. But she, it goes away because it's a hallucination, obviously. And Artyom finds the medicine, and boy, when he does, what so happens? But here's a gorilla, and it's now it is an interactive cutscene in that you have to button mash to get out of all of his holds, basically. But it's really like less you getting out of his holds and more just sort of narrowly surviving the gorilla beating the shit out of you and also breaking its surroundings. Yeah. And as you're trying to lead down like this fire escape essentially, and as you're like it's crashing through these different levels and all this other stuff, as you finish the button prompts, the gorilla slides out and gets skewered by a bunch of rebar that's sitting down on the ground, and then it still is alive and is reaching for you until a giant icicle like skewers its head, and then you're like, all right. But then Artyom immediately is like, all right, sick. I made it. Pass out.
Nap time.
And nap time. And when he passes out, you come to, and luckily, the Colonel and Kirill have arrived, and they get you in the car, and they start driving, and they basically look at you, and they know that you are in rough fucking shape, but they know
You've been outside in that radiation way longer than you were supposed to.
I mean, you were, in my opinion, and I think the way they sort of explain some of it is like, or the way they sort of talk about it towards the end is, depending on the ending you got, which is your body, you were already going to need a transfusion, even if that Miller was waiting outside that fire escape and you were able to get in the car. Mm-hmm. So like, everything that happened past that point was just extra damage that you couldn't have afforded to take anyway. But you were already like in rough shape by the time you even got out of the institute, let alone how long you were in the snow for. But they start pulling off, and as they start going, Artyom sort of fades out, and when he comes to, Miller has fallen asleep, and Creel is trying to wake him up, and he's like, "Come on, man! Like, I need you. Like, somebody. I can't drive.
Part was
like,
so good."
Yeah, and he looks back at you, and he's like, "Oh, holy shit! Okay, you're awake. Awesome. You need to drive." He told me, he tried to teach me how to drive, but he just fell asleep, and I don't know what's happening. And now I don't know about you guys, and I don't know what the game was trying to say here, but he was like, "I think he's okay. He just fell asleep." But then when you move him over and you get into the driver's seat, you move him, but then he sort of like, Artyom sort of like pulls his face forward to like get a good look at him. His eyes are wide open.
They're wide open.
So I'm like, you didn't fall asleep, my man. This is you dead. Like, that's how but the game tries to make it seem like he died later. And we'll get to that second. But I'm not so sure. It felt like he died in that moment.
I think he did.
And Artyom sort of, because he pounds on him like, "Hey man, like, it's all right." But I was like, nah, he's dead. Like, I don't know but it's, I don't know exactly. But
Well, I think those happen backwards, right? Like, he pounds on him at first, like, on the shoulder, and he's like, best to let him sleep when he's like this. He needs his rest. And then you go a little further, and, like, you kind of, like, come in and out of it. Then you go a little further, and you look at him, and that's when his eyes are open. So, like, maybe he was sleeping when Creel swapped with him, but he definitely died somewhere.
Yeah, he died before the end. But so you drive through, and you make it, Artyom makes it all the way to the railroad tracks meeting point, and as soon as he gets there, he's done. He passes out. And as everything starts to fade, this is where our endings start the same. So we're going to go there. I'll say what was different in my ending, then you guys can describe your ending, then we'll give final thoughts, and then Alex, you can talk about the Dark One's Easter egg. Or Easter eggs, I should say. So it starts with the next morning comes, and the train has shown up. It pulls through because Creel. You wake up a little bit, and Creel is he's outside, which horrible idea, by the way. Yeah. That city's still very much irradiated, but he's outside, and he's like, "Hey, do you hear that sound? Like, they're here." And as soon as you do that, what comes? But the Aurora comes ripping through with this fucking giant snowplow. Blows through.
It looks very cool, by the way.
Looks very cool.
Well, it's an actual real rig that they can put on these trains.
Yeah, and so you grab the medicine, and everybody basically just swarms you. Everybody's like, "We're here to fucking save the day." And they bring you in, and your vision is all green and splotchy because you're very, very irradiated. It's letting you know that you're very irradiated. And everybody's like, "Hey, he needs a transfusion immediately, or he's gonna fucking die. Like, it's about to happen." Now, this is where it starts to split up, so I'll start mine, and then you guys can start from this point for yours.
To be fair, a little bit of that dialogue has changed, because I did watch the endings back to back, like on YouTube later on. Like, as soon as I finished that, when I watched it, you can tell what ending you're gonna get by that point, just the way they're talking about you as they're about to bring you to the place, like as far as inside the train.
Yeah. But for the most part, like, it's
For the most part, it's all the same. Outside of
the real differences start once the transfusion starts, because it shows who's there and who's able to do things. So the way the game decides what ending you're going to get is during the sections of the game, you had 3 characters that could have survived / came with you, and that's Gus, Gil, and then Damir, and then Alyosha. Now, I thought the Damir one was interesting because I first of all, I did everything in that fucking area, number one. But number two, I was under the impression that him staying and finding his people and like being with his people and like saving them from slavery and that whole thing was definitely his good ending.
Yeah, I feel.
But apparently it's not. Apparently if you get enough good karma points, I don't know where else I would have found some, but if you get enough of them, he will return with you. Like, he'll come with you and then tell Gil that he'll just be back later.
Weird. Okay.
Which is weird. But you basically just need 2 out of the 3 to be available so that they have enough blood on the Aurora to give Artyom, because Artyom is AB positive, which means he can take any kind of blood. So in mine, Gus was alive and then Alyosha was alive. And so they both gave me very heartwarming speeches as they were able to give me blood. Stepan was also able to give me a bunch of blood. Tarkarev, Engineer Teddy, he was also able to give me a bunch of blood. And everybody sort of just basically tells you how fucking awesome you are, how cool Artyom is, and how they don't want to lose him. And Anna is at your bedside, and she's coughing up a storm. But she's like, I'm feeling better. Like, the medicine's working. Like, you have to fucking stay alive. Like, I love you so much. Don't you leave me. Blah blah blah. And from there, after you come to, there's multiple sections where you come in and out after the transfusion, and you're basically coming in and out of conversations with Miller. And Miller is basically talking to you about. Everything Miller says in this section is very nice. That being said, it's the first fucking nice thing he said to me in 3 games, and so I'm a little bit like, I appreciate the sentiment of what you're saying, but it shouldn't have taken you being in the spirit realm to fucking be nice to me for 5 minutes.
So what you said you were talking to Miller, but it's important to note for anybody that hasn't been here, like, you are in the spirit realm on this like dope like night train.
No, different.
Oh,
different from mine. Yeah,
but Miller,
so
Miller, but you're still talking to him in the spirit realm, yeah? Because
sure.
Miller's dead.
He dies. He dies.
So he's walking towards.
So are you talking to him on
a good one? Yeah.
On a train, or where are you guys talking?
You're in the good ending. You're walking towards the light. Like, it's just basically like this.
Okay.
Everything
so you said you're talking to Miller. I didn't know where you guys were talking. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he does die, but yeah. So you're walking towards basically like the light, and you're in this sort of like I said, just like. It basically sort of they try to do it as like you're in heaven, like you're on heaven's door, right? Like you're basically seeing Miller off to the other side.
Yeah.
And Miller, basically says like, we fucking did it. Like I can't believe we pulled it off, but we did. I'm so happy that you're gonna make it, and that Anna's gonna be there. You need to have a bunch of kids, a bunch of grandkids, like make me proud. Blah blah. He's like, also. I've only ever had a daughter, and I love her very much. But if I always wanted a son, and I would always hope that he would have turned out like you. And
by stubborn and shit like that. He's like just like you.
Yeah. And so he has this nice moment with you, and there's more sort of that stuff goes through, and you basically are coming in and out of sections of everybody on the train, basically being like. You gotta, fight it. Like, you gotta come back. We love you. And then Miller being like, it's all right, man. Like, you just go. And he's like, you're the leader. Like, you be the provider. Like, you be the leader that these people need. And, let them live a life. Like, be happy. Like, go to the place, have a family, have everybody live happily ever after. Like, be humans again. Like, go do the thing. And from there, it sort of fades out. And it shows everybody at surrounding Miller's grave on the top of the Bacali Hills, like where like from the vision, and it basically goes on to have like this overdub of basically just it was outside of Miller dying, it was absolutely happily ever after. Artyom and Anna had children, they were great. Stepan and Katya had kids, all of that was fantastic. Alyosha was not paralyzed to make sweaters for Preston. He lived a great life. He went back and hung out with Olga. Gus is out there doing Gus things. Everybody on the Aurora basically lived perfectly happy and great lives, and everything was fantastic. And then the game ends. So we'll just for you guys, we'll say how your guys' ending went. Which I will say before you guys start, I've seen this one.
It's the
there
better
are parts,
ending.
Yeah.
So first of all, the first half of our ending is way cooler than your walk to the light with Miller.
It is way cooler. And I will say there's parts of your ending that I'm I'm jealous of. Better is definitely not the way that I would say it, especially when Anna is on the hill, basically saying.
Hold on, so don't you fine? Don't you?
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, there's no way that.
So this was the first half of this was like chef's kiss. So like for ours, instead of walking to the light with Miller. And this is where I knew I got the bad ending, right? Like when they're talking,
you're basically on the river Styx.
Yeah. They're like, we need more blood. We don't have enough people. And I'm thinking, like, first of all, we have 2 children that like aren't giving blood. They can get half a little bit and probably make up for one.
Really quick,
but
just
whatever.
Quick pause. You are the only person I know that is so quick to shove a child as a meat shield in front of it. Like every game that has a child in distress, you're like, fuck that kid.
Yeah, I don't love kids. That's why. We end up on essentially like the railroad Styx because it's not a river.
Yeah.
In the dopest like night train, and who do you see there with Miller? Fucking Khan, which makes sense. Which makes sense because he has been like supernatural, so it would make sense that like he's the one communing.
I was so
with
happy
the
to see
dead.
him. I was so happy. I'm like, fuck yes, finally we got a little bit right there at the end.
He's like, hey, like you're gonna be here for a while. Is there? I'm going back. Is there anything you want me to say to the people you love when I get back? I was like, oof. I like that. Like that hurts, but that's
very
good,
cool,
right?
Yeah.
That's good. And he talks for a minute, and then Miller pops up. He's like, "Hey, man, this train." He's like, "We got a long way to go, and this train isn't ended." And like, I'm so happy you're here. Like, you're gonna be my first mate. Like, we're gonna do damage in hell, sort of thing. Like,
Yeah, and
we
part
got
of
a
his
long
speech,
road to go.
Yeah, and part of his speech is really weird because he's like, yeah, you know, people might be upset with us back then. He's like, but fuck them. Like, we did what we had to do, and we did it our way. And it's like, all right, dude. Like, whatever, I guess. It's your daughter that you left orphaned and husbandless, but right on, brother. Fucking, yeah.
There's also that little bit of him, though, that's kind of like, you know, almost like that sailor of like, I'm drawn to sea and don't want to be stuck with like the family, right? Back
Yeah,
back home.
but that's
So,
the
like,
thing is, that's why I think it's weird is because they have him do this personality flip because all the way up until that point, Miller is very set on, but he's very set on, not only does I want Anna to survive, but like,
He wants to be a
I want to be a
grandfather.
grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go and live, and so it's so weird that he's like, you know, they have him make this personality change where when he's on this train, he's just like, fuck that. Like, we're soldiers and fuck them. Like, it's like, all right, dude.
Well, he's like, I'm rejuvenated. Like, let's go. And he's like, you know, I'm gonna let you off here. Or he goes first, like, you can take a rest. He's like, because we got a long journey ahead, right? One that's not gonna end. And he's like, so let me let you off here. And you like look at a postcard, and then there's a station that pops up, and you hop off the station, and it's the hills. Right,
Yeah.
and I was
he's
like,
trying to, and you guys have to both pull the brake to like get it to actually stop. Yeah,
he's like, I've never seen never seen anything like this before, but there's a stop here, so go ahead. And like this ending was so good. I love the Khan thing. I like the talk. Like I know I got the bad one. I get it, and it was so good. And then you pop out, and immediately the narration changes from Artyom to Anna, and the very first words out of her mouth is, "I hate you for leaving me."
Yep.
And the tone just, I go, oof.
Yeah.
And then she started talking, and I definitely cried. I cried at the ending.
Very sad.
Yeah, it's very
It
sad.
It was happy sad though. Like you gave yourself
Yeah.
to save them, right? So like they did a great job at like not saying you made bad choices, you fucked up. They didn't do that at all. They're like, you played the game your way. These are the consequences, but you still did it to save the people you love. And the thing they're mad about is that you can't enjoy this with them, even though you went on the journey. It got me. Like the
that's what I
ending got
think.
me.
That's
but
what I said
like,
is I think that there's I think that it's not a good and bad ending. It's a sadder
It's
and less
different
sad
endings,
ending.
yeah. Whether you survive or not, yeah, it's
Like when you survive, it's still sad because Miller died and you have this like heartwarming sort of like father-son moment. But in general, basically everything still turned out mostly like, you know, how you would want it. And so like it's still sad, but it's just less sad than the end. Like that's what I think is like it's like your guys' ending was super sad, whereas like the good ending, quote unquote, is just regular sad. Like it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You know, like you're
The
like,
con-
that's
the
a
con
bummer,
thing-
but like.
The con thing was dope. They could have actually still tied the con into yours. Somehow,
Yes, so that's the thing that pisses
which-
me off. That's what, and I think now that we've
Could
gotten
have been
the
like,
innings,
this
we
is
can
not
do,
where you need to be. You need to go
we
back.
can, yeah, we can do our final thoughts here, and then we'll get to the Easter eggs that you were talking about, Alex. So, yeah, my final thoughts on it is for the endings. That's kind of what pissed me off the most. Is when I went back and saw it, I was like, dude, fuck this. I was like, what? I was like, Khan shows up and basically is like, you know, being like the boat farer, like, you know, like, or the ferryman, like, you know, talking to you and being like, to your point, exactly what he says is where he's like, look, you know, I'll make sure that all your guys' messages are relayed to your loved ones and everything. And there's a moment where it's not just Khan, but like, Bourbon is there and he fucking shits talks you
Oh
for a
yeah,
little
everyone
bit.
from all the games, yeah.
And he's like, oh, fucking, here you thought you were going to escape your old pal Bourbon, but look where you're at. And it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's like all this, like, you know, just these bam, bam, bam hits, and you're like, you know, some of that easily could have translated over to the other
Sure.
ending, but just in a better way, to your point, Preston, of being like, Khan just being like, hey, man, you know, I'll make sure that I can get everything that Miller has to say here, but, like, it's not your time, you know what I mean? Like, I'll see you, and I'll come find you, you know, like that kind of shit, right? Like, it could have been something along those lines, but it was just weird that that's the only thing. I mean, I guess the only thing you get is that everybody survives and lives happily ever after, but still, like, it would have been nice to have some of those other touches.
Yeah.
In general, though, so I will say I had a hard time wrestling with myself about where I felt like this game fell, right? So, like, the middle section to this game is its weakest. Mm-hmm. There's no debating, I think, between the three of us. I honestly think that all three of us are very much aligned on probably how we feel about this
But
game.
it's like
that
half of the middle section, the first half of the middle section.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like, honestly, it doesn't get better until the Taiga, and the Taiga is the last of the. It's third, it's the first of the last three missions. So I think you're over 75% at that point. Like you like
well,
everything
when
that happens.
You make the level last 3 minutes because you stealth past everyone on the left side. Yeah, it's gonna feel like a smaller point.
But no, but I mean, no, I'm saying physically where it's located in the game, it is like Taiga, Autumn,
yeah.
Dead City. That's it. Like, it is the it's the one of the last three levels.
You had the one really tight level of the cannibals in the middle of the two open.
Yamantau. You do have Yamantau, which was a great moment.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I won't. No shade whatsoever. I thought Yamantau actually. Honestly, if Yamantau wasn't there, if Yamantau wasn't there, I think that we probably have like a way different discussion about about this game,
open,
right? For sure. But so you because of that middle section being like the roughest part of it, I was really having like a hard, because I was like, man, the first game I think it's probably my favorite. I think the first one, it really has, because it has everything that I love about it. Like it really sells everything about it, but then also has like the psychological and like horror aspects to it, right? And it marries all of those really well. And I think even like a lot of those characters, right? Like they some of those characters even come back and show up at the end in your guys' ending, right? It's like the characters in that first game have a really good, like moment. So for me, it was like I'm trying to figure out if I like it more than the second one or the third one, or more than the second one, and have it be in the middle or last. And I think based on just how strongly this back half or back third is, and also how well they stick the landing, I think that I'm gonna put it like just narrowly above the second one, but I think it would be first, like the first game, the third game, and then the second one is where I would probably put it. But yeah, I think the sections of the game that are basically, not the open world sections are fantastic. I thought they were all worked really well. I would have liked to see less scavenging and crafting for resources and more just like finding ammo like we did in the other games. Like I liked that a lot better than and like I liked, instead of going through and opening a drawer and being like, here's random metals that you can use to make bullets, I would have rather just found bullets.
Well, that's
right?
the whole thing. There's no shops in this one. You have your workbench, but you don't buy anything with the bullets or anything like that. So I like that as far as going to a shop and be like, okay, well, I'm going to stock up on ammo here because we're going to go into some battles. Rather than this one's more like did you pick up a whole bunch of shit as you went through? Did you scavenge all the bodies? Because you need to make sure you have enough parts to get medic packs, to make your bullets.
Yeah, well, and also, like, because in the other games, like, yes, you found, like, the unspent bullets that were, like, the currency, but you also just found, like, regular, like, your ammo also, like, when you were out and about. Like, you could just find, like ammo out there, whereas you very rarely found that. Like, there was some times where you would find, like, little bits of ammo out in the world in this game, but it was mostly you were always finding resources. But, yeah, I know we'll do scores at the end like we always do, but, yeah, I would say that's sort of just my general feelings. Like that's where I am kind of putting it. I think it doesn't quite beat the first one for me, but I think because of how strong the strong sections are in this game, and especially how it handled the ending, I think it lands in the middle for me.
Okay, you go ahead, Preston.
I would say this one definitely is probably the one I like the least out of all of them. For the most part, it's kind of hard to compare it because there's a different giant leap from the first one to this one as far as like graphical improvements, some quality of life stuff here and there. But overall, when you're talking about like story and what happens in the game and things of that nature, I liked a lot more of the set pieces in the first and second one over the open world view, or just the way they make it seem like you have other options as far as pathways and things to take in this last one. I'm like, okay, well, I don't feel like that I needed that from this game, especially going into the third game of this series. Like, if that was how we were, or this is how it started off, I get it. But we did so well with the first two on not doing that I feel like doing that in this one, like we mentioned before, I felt like that was just a product of its time of like, a straight linear shooter is not going to work out in 2019. It needs to have some type of openness to it. Even Doom in this area, like there is, you go to the doors and stuff like that, but there's the world and the levels are more open for you to explore the way you want and make it feel more fluid. Personally, I think that just makes it a little bit less enjoyable for me. And there's a lot of things that I just straight up skipped when last time, if I missed something, is because I just took a left instead of a right, or a right instead of a left. It wasn't that like I was like, no, I just didn't want to go to that third of the map, or no, I didn't care about anything over there. I just want to get done with the missions. It was so I would say this is probably my least favorite as far as overall gameplay wise throughout the levels. The second one definitely be my favorite, and then the first one setting the tone for everything and being fantastic as well. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed all three of these. It didn't get too spooky. It rode that line because like you guys know me in the open waters, and like if I can't see beneath, I'm not a big fan of it. I respect the water, so like if I'm on the boat, I'm mostly fine, right? It's that first section when like you're waist deep in water and you see those little leech eels going through. I'm like, I hate every single thing about this. I was so glad that lasted like 15 seconds of you actually having to wade in the water, because if that was the entire game, I would have been trying to sprint through that water as fast as I can. I'm like, I don't care what you do.
If you jumped, you could actually make it through faster. I don't know if you tried that.
Oh, really? No, I didn't try jumping at all.
Expand the jump and you can make it through faster. Give it a little boost.
Yeah, no. If I found that out and that was a longer section, I would have been doing that the entire time. The whole B-roll would look like shit. But I would have done it because I wouldn't have cared. But yeah, that was nightmare fuel for me. But other than that, everything else, I didn't have too much of a problem with the big gorilla Nosalises. Like I got through that really easy. I felt maybe I just got lucky on my paths and like choosing the right spots to go at. But I think it wasn't until like the very end till like one of them saw me. And to be fair, I was stepping on glass. Like I'm hearing glass. I'm like, I was stepping on glass. I'm like, they're not noticing me though. So I guess I wasn't close enough to them when I was stepping on glass. I'm not sure. Maybe my game just bugged out in my favor. Who knows?
Could be.
But I outside of the couple of like more open areas, I did thoroughly enjoy this game. It's still a good game.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know where I would rank them. Like, this is tough. I think this game nailed the ending. Like, I think
Yes,
my biggest
as
concern
far as the
is what
ending
was
of the
going to
trilogy,
happen.
great job.
Yeah, I think it landed it, which I was really worried about based off of that open world stuff and where it would fall. I think whoever had decision making power made the right choice that the last third of the game was straight linear, right? Like, I'm glad they won that battle because it was the right choice.
Oh, because I'm telling you, if it had been open, I would be like,
Oh, yeah.
It's easily the worst one.
Yeah, and I'm kind of frustrated. Like, that's what frustrates me about this game too. Is like, to Preston's point, you need the open world stuff in 2019 or whatever. But really, like, if you're just going for gameplay length, you can just have more levels than you ever did before, right?
Sure.
And, like,
Yeah,
all the stuff
I don't
we did,
feel like we need it.
Going to get the
producers.
train, going to get the engineer, going to get these people. Could have just been the linear shit that we were used to, and if so, this game would have been a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
So that's a little unfortunate. If I were to rank it, I think, Christian, I agree with you. 1 would be my favorite. And then, because it was tight. Gameplay was tight, story was tight, the environment.
Oh, 1
was
is rock
tight.
solid, dude. Yeah.
1 was tight. And then I honestly could probably you could probably convince me either way between 2 and 3. Like,
Yeah.
I liked the gameplay of 2, I think, better, but I don't like the story as much. Like, chasing the kid
Yeah.
of the Dark Ones and so on, like, was probably my least favorite. I thought the story of this one was really good. It was just held back by the open world. So you could convince me either one. All that to
Yeah,
say,
and I agree because they do.
They're all very
like
close.
they have more of the psychological stuff in the second one that I like more. Whereas like this one doesn't really have that until the very end, and so like
Yeah.
it's and I know we'll get to how they are. Like I know that you were like the dark ones are like sort of hidden in it, but like as far like they're not in the game as far as like
right.
any effect on the story or the
points, yeah.
on the narrative, and so it's like you have like I miss all of those elements. So I mean I could see going either way. It's just I'm just thinking of just like it's very hard to end things these like in media in general, and it's very hard to end like cap off like a trilogy or like or in any kind of like a multi-series thing. And so the fact they were able to stick that landing so well for me is like, okay, there's some extra points there for sure.
Yeah, they nailed it. So, all that to say, all 3 were very good. I'm glad the way this ended because it kept the series super high for me.
Yeah, I honestly my biggest takeaway from it is I am just so happy that I finally got to play them. Like doing this book club has made it so that I was finally able to experience those last 2 games, and I'm happy that I finally got to see that through.
So should we rank it?
Worth it.
I don't remember what I ranked the second one.
I
is
can't
the
remember
unfortunate
either.
piece.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to
I-
put this one at a 7
I was thinking 7
to a 7.5. Only because the open world. If it was open world, it'd be a 9.
Oh, 8, 9.
So
Yeah,
when
for sure,
you
yeah.
so I went back to the video just now. That's what I was looking over at because I was trying to listen. I could only hear your score, Alex. Preston and I didn't talk loud enough for me to hear it over us talking in
Sure.
this episode right now.
Sure.
But you gave the second one a flat 8.
Then I would give this a 7.
Yeah. I
Okay.
agree.
7.75. Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember what I gave that one. I could see this one sitting at like I'll say like a 7.6 is where I would fall with it. But whether that's higher or low, adjust the other scores accordingly.
Right.
In that regard, as far as my overall rankings, but yeah.
Yeah, agree. 7.
Okay. Yeah, I think, real quick, I'll just say this before we talk about the Dark One piece. Like, I like that they let you approach things the way you wanted. I like that I killed the big fish, and like you guys didn't kill the big fish. I actually
Yeah.
think it's more unfortunate. Like, I wish you guys would have killed it, and that would have helped with the linear piece. But this game did good. So the Dark Ones appear 3 times in this game. I found one naturally, which plucked my curiosity to then go figure out what the fuck. So mine was an Easter egg, which was in the desert area, Caspian. You can find a hookah around a couple of seats, and you can actually interact with the hookah. And if you do, the smoke pops up, and then the child from the last game pops up, like, sitting on top of the TV. And I was like, interesting Easter egg, but definitely an Easter egg, because, like, I'm hallucinating, right?
Yeah.
However, when I went back to Google it, they appeared 2 other times, not counting the start screen. And there are dark ones in the very beginning in Moscow. When you come out of the first, like, in the first time, you can see one for a second, like, up on top of a building.
Oh.
Yeah.
And man in the suit,
disappears.
Half-Life shit. Yeah.
Yeah, same
G-Man.
thing when you get to the dead city. As soon as you peek the snowbank and the city opens up, there's one in the top far right corner of a building that you could see, like, you could tell, like, it is a dark one, and then it disappears. And they, that's it, like, the going story is based on your interaction with the dark ones. They are following you and keeping tabs on you and possibly helping you. So they're definitely in this game, right? Off to the side, but they're not fully interacting. But there is a theory, if you will, that they talk about, which is they have been helping you to the sense of, like, there's no actual reason for Miller and Krill to find you when you come out of the science building, because you didn't come out in the entrance, right?
Sure.
Like, you came out
Sure.
on the side and fell down. They shouldn't have known where you were, and it took them a while. Clearly, you're out there for a while, so the theory is, like, maybe they were doing the whole whispering, the telepathy thing to Miller to guide him to you.
And I love that. Like, that would be a nice touch. The problem is that the reason that it sort of becomes a negative for me is that it's really obfuscated. Like, often, like, you have to be kind of looking for that kind of stuff to actually.
I think,
and then,
and I think there's a possibility. Like, it's not one of those where it waits for you to come and, like, and hit it based on where you go. Like, there's a possibility you may just never see it. Right. Like,
right.
It is very
And-
random.
So you have that, but also, like, there's no notes that reference it in the game. There's no actual writing in the game that says, like, oh, they helped them do this, or they helped you do this, or you don't hallucinate, like, or in the main cutscenes of the game you don't see it. And so it's like one of these things where while that theory is really cool, and I think that idea makes a lot of sense, especially when they are just, like, off to the sides. Like, I could totally see something like that happening. I would have much rather had them flesh out, even if it was just a throwaway thing, but, like, just having them.
You had Miller give a throwaway line when he finds you in the snow,
Yeah.
right? And it would
Yeah.
have, like, reconciled all of that, which would have been cool.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I felt that when, like, that one part you're hallucinating and things are, like, floating, like, you got, like, pieces of rubble or like that, the lights are coming through, which is obviously one of those electrical things. I'm like, sweet, we finally get them. We're going to do the trippy shit. The dark ones are back. Like, let's go. Never got it. Never got the end. I'm like, man, like, I was really hoping that instance right at the end is when I would have gotten it. And I would have been completely okay with not seeing it the entire game and then having it here.
I think you could have done 2 really cool things. You could have either done Miller's throwaway line, and that would have been fine. It would have reconciled it. What would have been cooler, and in my opinion, a better touch, is if you were in the snow when Miller and Krill run up to you and they wake you up, if you saw past their shoulder to the corner of a building and there was a dark one or the kid sitting on the corner, and maybe you're like, the camera specifically panned or looked or your hand reached up or something, and then they disappeared. That's all you needed. Like, something super simple to be like, they were still around helping you out was all that game.
But as far as my mindset is that they're still gone. They left. They never came back.
Yeah, because you never saw them.
And
nothing happened after that.
And I guess,
which is
and I think that's
fart to me.
That's something that we've talked about for, like, all 3 of these games, which is that's what happens when you have multiple endings, that different things happen, and you don't have just a solid canon going through. And so, like, when you get the good ending in all these games, like, you and the dark ones hang out, and you guys are, like, fucking best friends, and their whole, like, all their. In one ending, in the first game, the whole civilization survives, and in the other one, they don't. You know, so, like, it's just little stuff like that it makes it difficult to be like, to try to reconcile the fact that they're just not around as much. You know, like, I wish they had a bigger part in the story, but yeah. Either way,
so
that's it.
Yeah. Good game. Good game.
Good series.
Great series. Yeah.
Good series.
Good pick.
So, All right. Well, with that, it is time for me to say what we're playing next. I think I alluded this to Christian. I haven't told Preston yet. So the next game we will be playing is the System Shock remake.
Oh. You making us go into Spoopy? Isn't System Shock Spoopy?
Yeah.
I thought I just told you. I didn't want to... What are you doing to me, man?
Sorry.
B-roll's going to get taken from YouTube, and Preston's going to pretend like he played it.
I've played...
No, that's fine.
I went ahead and I played the first stopping point stuff. I've already played the first section. The reason being I kind of wanted to see timing for me. I also kind of wanted to let us take advantage of our family and Steam's family sharing. So if I knocked it out, then you guys can play it and not have to worry about the host knocking you out of playtime, right? So we're going to take advantage of Steam's new feature there. But we're going to do System Shock Remake. What I can say right now is that game was released in 1994. It is the game just remade. It looks very, very pretty. I will give you 2 bits of advice. 1, in this game, there are dog tags you can pick up. Don't pick them up. I thought they were worth something. My whole inventory is full of dog tags, and I Googled it. It was just the way they celebrated Kickstarters.
Yeah.
Every person that kickstarted over $350 got their name on a dog tag. You can pick them up. They serve no purpose. Do not pick up dog tags. It'll fill your inventory. The only other thing I will say is this game can be as quick as like 12 to 14 hours, which is what we're going to shoot for. But if you map scrape, because it's like 1994 Doom and other stuff, right? Like if you map scrape, this game could be 30 hours. So you can choose enemy difficulty, you can choose puzzle difficulty, you can choose a few other difficulties. Take that into consideration when you are planning your playthrough.
Sure.
I left my puzzle at standard. My puzzle is normal. All of my other stuff is normal. I think except for enemy difficulty, which I made easy or something. But there's like 5 options. Just plan accordingly because this game has 10 levels in its space station. We're going to start off this first playthrough with the first 2. So we are going to play medical. We're going to play research. You're going to stop on level 3 at maintenance. And then we'll kind of judge it. If we're going through quicker, maybe we'll do 3 and turn this into 4 play sessions. Kind of what I'm hoping. But we'll see how it goes. I can't tell you how long I played because I played on Steam Deck and I left it on pause while I was doing yard work. So it says I played for 9.5 hours. I did it. But so I can't tell you how long it actually was. But just
okay.
It can be 1994. It can be as short or as long as you want it to be. Just depends on how long you scrape.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I can't wait to talk about it. This is a Ken Levine joint, right? That turned into... I only know Ken from BioShock series. So I have a lot to say already. My eyes have been opened. It's interesting already. So I can't wait for you guys to play it, and then we'll talk about it. System Shock on Steam. That's what we're going to next time.
All right.
So... thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the series. Hopefully it intrigued you to go play that series. It absolutely deserves a playthrough.
Yeah.
If you haven't played it, is
barely heard of it, if you haven't heard of it, or you just had any type of inkling, it's well worth it if you enjoy a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, anyway, we will see you next time. And with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Hit it!
Hold on!
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.